welcome, YouTube and TikTok family. Welcome. How y'all doing out there? We got a good one going on today. We're going to be talking about ritual magic, our new resource we um, are covering in there in our spiritual roots hoodoo community. If you're interested in mentorship and a community that talks about hoodoo from top to bottom, inside and out. I'm kind of nerdy, so I love this subject. Check out our community. The link is in our bio. This is going to be a really good discussion because we're having it again because ritual is so important. Okay, that's what we're having this discussion again. You're going to hear me come here uh often. Uh-oh. And probably get tired of me because we're going to be talking about ritual. And for those of us, those of you that are in the community and you're trying to get started in your practice, this is the major level up. This is the very thing that's going to help you gain a closer relationship with your ancestors, tap into your own ashe and power when it comes to ritual. Okay, so let's dive in here. Okay. The entire basis for magic is to exercise influence over one's environment. That's what we're trying to do. That's what magic is. Magic is concerned with spiritual growth, psychological transformation, because your mind got to be right. I can't emphasize this enough. People showing us spells and stuff. Just got through talking to one of our practitioners in the group, and we just had this total breakdown about this because she's made so many strides in the practice. Even the spiritual life must rest firmly on material foundation. It has to make sense. It must have some structure and discipline. Even though hoodoo, you think, people are showing you stuff, there is structure and discipline and a practice to hoodoo. I know you're probably tired of hearing about this, but I have to tell you because nobody's talking about this. Everybody wants to show you a spell to kind of lure you in and show us the glitter and the glamour to hoodoo, but not talk about where it was born from and what you have inside you, what needs to be removed, all the blockages that need to be moved to unlock the magic. Yeah, blockages have to be removed to unlock that magic the way you want to. And when if you talk about power, don't nobody want to do no work, don't nobody want to have no structure, but they want power. It just absolutely does not work that way. I don't care if they're a black magician. There is some structure to their work. None of these spirits are going to be rocking with you, showing up for you, if you are not consistent and have perfected ritual, consistent at it. Okay, we're going to dive deeper. It has to make sense. It has to have structure or discipline. The material world and spiritual world is entangled. This is the magic link. It's all entangled. And it starts in your mind. If your mind is not right, you have blockages there. They're only going to be, you're only going to get so far in this if you're not doing that work. We just talked about shadow work, how important it is. Shadow work is ancestors work. It is healing work. That's when we start using the road openers and blockbusters and things like that. When we start doing that type of work on ourselves, that's what that means. Inside and out. Not only you removing the blockages on the outside, but you're removing the blockages on the inside because only way the blockages on the outside exist because you have blockages on the inside. Does it make sense to you? Am I making as above, so below, so without, so within? Do I make sense to you? Put that in the comments. Say yes if I make sense to you. I don't make sure you understand and you dodge the hijacking. Say yes in the comments if this makes sense to you. Not a popular truth. I know. Not a popular truth. I can't lie though. Can't come here and lie to you. I hope you guys had a chance to open up your book there in the community. I see 7 people in here. Anybody following me? Anybody following me? Because what I'm finding is, although we have people in our community, I have people in our community, maybe I shouldn't say it that way. Some people are wanting to communicate with their ancestors and getting into hoodoo and don't get started. The only way your practice is going to work is you get started. Nothing is going to work the way you want it to. If you want to practice real hoodoo, you have to get started with the rituals. Be consistent. Make time. Make time for ritual. And I hear a lot of people say, "Well, I don't have time. I don't have time." I bet if I gave you a Beyonce ticket, if I said I had free tickets to Beyonce concert or Kendrick Lamar, and it's free, a free flight there, a free hotel room, and all that, I bet you make time to go there, wouldn't you? And you don't think your ancestors deserve that much time? You don't think your ancestors deserve that? I have to put it to you that way, because when I put it to you that way, you think, yeah, you want power, you want to, really, you want your hoodoo practice to see success in it, to see results in it. Ritual is important, making time for it. And we're going to go into why ritual is important one more time for you guys. Thank you, George Tate. I guess we got some shy people in the comments here. Okay. Mind and body work together, and magic is the extension of this interaction into dimensions beyond the limits normally conceived. There is God power in the body, in the earth. We use the mind to link these aspects. That's what we're doing. That is what we're doing. We're doing ritual. People who dared to work magic were persecuted because magic takes responsibility away from the collective institution of the church and state and places into the hands of the individual. And that's what religion was created to get you away from magic, but yet everybody most of these people in their religion are performing some type of magic they calling miracles of God power. Hey, you're welcome, Unity 222. Welcome to the channel. Okay. So they're doing magic. That's what our ancestors were seeing in that Bible. They're gonna tell you not to do magic, but yet Moses and all them people is doing magic in this Bible. What are they talking about? Our ancestors already knew that. They peep game already. But the people that were trying to force the religion on us didn't think we had enough sense to, see that. Hi, Ashley AAA. People who dared to work magic were, I just said that. Magic is an art of empowerment. This is why our ancestors embedded hoodoo into Christianity. And people think, I heard this young lady talk, and she was talking about, hey, she was practicing voodoo. It was working real well. And I think when people get in here, get ready for spiritual warfare. Anytime you're picking up magic and you become aware of the spiritual world, get ready for spiritual warfare. And nobody prepared her. And now she's over there in religion trying to heal her son, and it's nothing is working. But because she went under spiritual warfare, she ran back to the church where she gave her personal power over to the religion because what they told her what she was doing was evil. This is what happens. Nobody prepares you for spiritual warfare. If those spirits is not attacking you and after you, you ain't doing something right. They're gonna attack you once you're aware and you see how these spirits jump from people to people and things like that. When you become aware, get ready for it. because you're dispelling them out of your life. You're dispelling them out of your life. They don't want to see you heal. They don't want to see you whole. They don't want you in your spiritual power. So of course they're going to come after you, and you're not under spiritual attack. If you ain't doing something right, because that's gonna happen. Okay, so the young lady ran back to the church again. This is why we promote the spiritual baths. This is why we promote sanctification of yourself. This is why we promote regular protection rituals. I am seeing when I sit at my altar and commune with my ancestors, oftentimes I'm sitting in a space of gratitude and things have been shifting in my life. Amen. Ashe, that show had work, honey. Thank you for sharing that, Ashley, because that's how I work, honey. Ritual has made a huge difference in my work. It sure does. Okay. I'm reading from our book, Ritual Magic, that we have in our community. These are my notes from the book review. This is a book review I am doing on a resource that we have provided in our community called Ritual Magic. Okay, so magic is an art of empowerment, learning how to empower your mind, yourself, and your spirit. This is why our ancestors embedded into Christianity. When people go along with religious institutions without question or consent, spirit personal power is lost to the institution, and people wonder why their prayers are not being answered or heard because you gave your personal power to the preacher or priest of the religion you support. That's why it's not working. That's why they're telling you they gonna do it for you. That's why you see a lot of this religion and stuff is raggedy. We into it with another country because of religion. All these patriarchal religions. My religion is better than yours. And the thing about these other two, uh, you know, Izzy and US, the thing about these two is their religion is based on uh just tell the truth about it, genocide, imperialism, and supremacy. The link is in my bio. You can go to my bio in my if you're on Patreon, it's going to be in my bio. And if you're on TikTok, it should be on my bio. So go to the channel's page, to my channel, and you should see the link there to Patreon, take you directly to Patreon. Okay, so that's what you're seeing now. You're seeing these clashes that happen with these two. And people's power, they have given over their power. We got people being unalive because this patriarchal stuff. We got people being unalive, women and children, and all this kind of stuff because why? They've given over their power. Not saying this, we can look at that from that perspective too. And I'm sure others have their perspective, but that's the way I'm seeing it right now. Okay. To the church, magic consisted of beliefs and rituals of the previous religion, which had been suppressed by military conquest. Okay. They suppressed that. You're welcome. They suppressed that. They suppressed magic. It's a trip. This is going to get more interesting as we move on with this topic. They suppressed that. You're seeing that go on in the Bible when they suppressing the witches. And one of those kings, was it Samuel? Which one was it? Saul? One of them had to go to the what that witch, and she had to conjure up the prophet Samuel. But she was like, "Is you tricking me? Because you just told me I can't do this, and now you need my help." And see, this is patriarchs. That's a clear indication that patriarchs are trying to shut down the divine feminine practices that were prominent in that time and assert their own religious authority. But yet he had to go back to that same thing he was trying to shut down and get answers about his future to contact another patriarch. How can your religion be more powerful than our magic if you have to resort to magic to get answers? Come on now, and you still have ministers that still use. They will use hoodoo priest. They will use voodoo. They'll go to a voodoo practitioner to help them gain members. This has been documented. There's been practitioners that talked about this. There's even a story in our book. I think that's root work, that's conjure root work and hoodoo. But it was a this man. He talks about how this hoodoo man was watching his church, this pastor's church, and he wasn't having many members. And so the hoodoo man came to his church and was like, "Hey, we need you to be reaching more people. Your church ain't doing good." He made the pastor a mojo bag, and the mojo bag worked so good it scared the hell out the pastor, and the pastor threw it away. And when he threw it away, he lost half his members. He got mad because it worked. So be sure that this is what you want to do, because you're gonna see it work. Don't get over here thinking this is some kind of fake stuff, because it's not. Okay, you get people to get upset because they get on this side and it working. Now they scared. Oh, because you're used to doing things that don't work. That makes you more comfortable. It makes you more comfortable. You're not ready for this kind of power. You're not ready for your own power. You're scared of your own power, your own divinity. You're willing to get away. You have people like that in church that is scared, but yet your Bible is steady saying miracles and all this. This only confirmed that these people over here were doing magic, and your people is calling it miracles and keeping you disconnected from it by not properly educating you on your spiritual sovereignty and inner power. Okay. Yeah, I mean the hoodoo man made him a mojo bag. It worked so well. The pastor threw it away. He got so mad because it worked. Because in his mind, he been praying to God and doing the right thing. That lets you know. Then you don't know everything if you're doing it that way. If you're doing it that way, it's something that you're missing. What do the hoodoo or voodoo man know, preacher, that you don't know, that he can tap into power and you can't? Because it used to be a time when that was up in the church in full swing in hoodoo. And then y'all about the boule up in there, the Freemasonries, the people in the fraternities and the sororities start running the church. And y'all call in all these other raggedy Western, vampiric spirits. That's what's going on. Okay. The Jews criticized the Egyptian priests as sorceries, while Moses went on to do the same identical acts they were doing and seen as holy. And that's what our ancestors looked. They was like, wait a minute now. He doing the same thing that the pharaohs and stuff. This guy can't be. He doing the same magic. Gotta remember, he lived there. He lived there, and now, but the patriarchs are looking at Egypt like that because that was the matriarchal dominant empire in the world. And see, they're trying to assert their dominance separate from the matriarchs. We just went through this when we talked about Gnosticism and the demiurge. If you haven't seen that, go watch that in our community. I posted that there. That's what's going on there. Okay? So they're doing magic in that Bible. Moses sat there and they learned from the Egyptians. He learned the occult. He learned all of that. That's what they said in their book. And really, they don't tap, none of these patriarchs can tap into their power. None of these major religions in the world, I can pretty much bank on it. If it's a male god, he would not be there without a feminine god. Many of them started out feminine and they changed them to men. I am pretty sure about that. You can even see that in Kabbalah. There's echoes of that in Kabbalah. It works when you work it. I used to question if it was real, but when I surrendered and made up my mind to stop going back and forth, things started moving. It will. It will. And your mind got to be made up too. Your mind got to be made up. If you got any doubt, again, start working on your blocks first and working with your ancestors to remove those blocks before you start doing any work. So you won't be wondering why it don't work, because you got blocks and stuff. And don't be upset at yourself, because we've had so many things to happen to us. It would be a surprise to me if you didn't have any blocks. I had gotten away from hoodoo for a while and caught up in a law of attraction, law of assumption. It's not the same. Ancestral connection is a must. They let things get rocky for me until I came back. Yep, that modern stuff, we have a lot of new age stuff. And that's one reason, because I'm going to dodge the hijacking in this book. We have a lot of new age stuff that comes out that people are gravitating towards, the law of attraction, manifestation, all of that. And I'm going to say this: these are new age people that got their hands on our ancient ancestral spiritual practices. They have watered it down to help them evolve spiritually. This is a new people now, because this is in our blood. We've been doing this. You're seeing that with Aleister Crowley. You saw that through their spiritualism movement. That what they're studying, they're studying ancient Egyptian occultism. They are studying shamanism. They are studying voodoo. These are the things they have to study and look at in order to understand their magic, because most of their magic came from us. I can say that confidently, and I show you that every time in all of our resources. Let you know it's gonna come from a black face that look like you. Me and that sister just got through talking. Me and Sister Tina were just talking about what was we talking about? We was talking about ritual and talking about ancient Egyptian magic, because we went into Heka, and Heka looked just like hoodoo. They got you thinking hoodoo is, our ancestors developed. You have a limited view, of hoodoo. Because if you truly talking to your ancestors, they gonna let you know hoodoo is so old. It didn't start. They wasn't born out of no slavery. Magic was already in them. These are their spiritual concepts before any religion was given to them. They were spiritual adepts. They knew about the unseen sciences. And now they come in contact with ignorant people that don't understand anything like that. They're using religion to enslave people's minds and bodies, and not to free it, to restrict people. Okay? And that is their new age movement. That is for them. I knew that when they got to talking about these aliens. I have to stop it with them. When they got talking about these aliens, and these aliens come out looking like milk, I'm done with you. Okay, I don't have nothing to say to you. That I knew then is we going with this same thing again with y'all. Why the aliens got to look like milk and they come from outer space, a melanated universe? So why is they looking like milk? I'm not understanding that. Why? No. I'm done. Be careful out there with them. And then the twin flame thing got women into codependency, got them chasing people when really the work is got to do with you. It ain't got nothing to do with another person. Those things are very, very rare. They showed that a lot in movies. Skeleton Key was very on nose about it. Yes. And they have used some of these very sciences to corrupt. They've corrupted many of these sciences. So dodge the hijacking with them. You're going to see, you will see, stay away from the hijacking, because they are their ancestors. That's the only thing I can tell you about that. They are their ancestors. That is their walk. That is designed for them by them. If you go back and looking at that, uh Aleister Crowley, they coined Aleister Crowley in their spiritual renaissance movement. He's going to be ahead of that, because what did Aleister Crowley do? He went in and took the Egyptian magic, all the ancient magic, and start watering it down for occultists so they can practice it. That goes for our ancient knowledge on shamanism, ancient spiritual science that come from ancient Kemet, our womb knowledge, tantric knowledge that came from our great mothers. Our great mothers had all of this knowledge. And many of the older women are going to have a wealth full of knowledge about our spiritual sciences. I've showed you that as well. So this is what's going on there. These folks is in there hijacking and dodge the hijacking with this new age. It is not you. Go back and do the research on the new age movement. And people that help them, such as Pascal Randolph, they don't even want to give him recognition. Many of the black occultists, any recognition that has helped them in their uh, spiritual development. Because they would make a lot of headway in a lot of their spiritual sciences had it not been for a black person that came in and gave them insight. And now they have messed it up, especially tantric part. So now you're taking a tantric part and you're using it in a perverse way against women and children. You're using to call out these lower vibrational energies and spirits. Hey, Black Magic Mike. Yes, they always hijack and make it spooky evil. They do. They can't help but make stuff, spooky and evil. They can't help but do that. And you go through this when you're going through this book too. I got to, tell you to dodge the hijacking because again, this person that wrote it just, you'll see what they're into. If you're reading our material, you'll see what they're into. This is why I come here and I give you a presentation to help you dodge the hijacking and let you know what we're looking at and where you should focus at. And then I come here again to give you greater context so you can dodge the hijacking because you're going to see it. Okay? It's almost like some of their books that they write, especially in the Western occultism, they're letting you know that they're in contact with the lesser deity if you're paying attention to it. Okay, they letting you know that it's an opposition going on there. How alchemy go? Okay, through magic it is. Okay, let me stop. This is the exact same thing our ancestors observed. I just said that. Okay, through magic it is impossible to control your fate. It is possible to control your fate and attain your destiny because you're using your personal power to tilt the scales. In the past, the church and other social institutions were the domain of men, but magic is open to everyone. Okay? And so when you see religion, this is the patriarchs trying to monopolize. They're trying to monopolize this. Okay? They don't want, this specifically for men. You'll miss this in the Bible because you'll miss this, but they're deeming themselves the priest, the supreme priest, divine authority over the spiritual practices. Then start telling women that was evil. Everything that was sacred about them was evil. This is stripping women of their spiritual sovereignty and power. It gives common folks the folks access to more personal power and wisdom. Those who approach ritual magic from this for the first time usually have unrealistic expectations. Many people are attracted to the mystery or power of magic. Really think about hoodoo because see, and it's not everyone's. I think it's just a misrepresentation that's happening here. And so that's why I come here to give you greater context. And I just discourage people from calling it magic. Like, I think the term magic make people think they don't have to do any work. And that's just not so. Me and my practitioner talked about this other day. People over here, honey, I'm sitting up here pushing back plates, slinging tears and snot going deep, trying to heal the most deepest part of myself to get stuff moving. And you over here calling this magic like I didn't have to do any work. No, I had to do some work. There's some work going in on the back end to move that along. Folks over here is pushing back plates, getting up early in the morning, talking to their ancestors at 3 or 5 o'clock in the morning. Okay. People are in there removing all types of blocks that's in there, whether they got to do healing for a whole week and go back and do the work. Ain't nobody just doing no magic. And then after you do the work, bam, that thing moving. You just be like, oh my God, your mouth is wide open. You don't even know what to call it no more. And that term magic, it doesn't even fit anymore. And in those of us that's been that are dedicated to our practice and we are consistent at our rituals, we can attest to that. Okay. That's why I say, there is work to do in there. You have expectations like you're going to have instant access to power. You're entitled to power. No, you're going to have to, it's like jewels inside of you. You're going to have to dig in yourself and bring it out. Okay. You're going to have to dig in to get it out. Real practitioners learn by doing or attempting to do, finding out what type of magic works for them. Okay, you're never going to tap into your magic if you understand the practice. It is not going to go your way if you just reading about it, not putting in any action. Ritual is about action. It's about getting the work moving, moving that energy, tapping into that magical sphere, conditioning your mind to tap back into that magic. That's what that's about. It's not gonna happen. It ain't gonna be no little bit. You think you're gonna get far with libations? Probably not. Especially a high girl. Especially you think you're gonna practice full fledged hoodoo, but you ain't got no ancestors altar. It just trips me out. I have to say this again. That you think you're gonna practice full-fledged hoodoo and you're not gonna honor the ancestors, and the core and the power source of the practice is ancestral. So how that's gonna work? Ain't gonna work. But you quick to go put up an altar to go work magic. Make that make sense to me. Somebody please. I see people do that all the time. I'm like, why would it's so disrespectful? Ain't no you gonna get yourself crossed up. That's what's gonna happen with that. That's what's gonna happen with that. You're gonna get yourself crossed up and have to really do some uncrossing work and move blockages and all that stuff to get you back in alignment with where you need to be. That's all that's gonna happen there. I recently made protection charm and I was wondering if I can take my spiritual bath with it. I would recommend it. We do things in layers in hoodoo. That's why study that needs to happen. Ocean water study needs to happen. And what I'm seeing here is people are practicing this and you don't understand the practice. I do not recommend that. This is ancestral. How you gonna pick up their magic and not honor them? It don't make sense. Make that make sense. That's just like going over somebody's house, taking something, and you didn't ask to use it. That's what you're doing. You did not ask for a permission. You just picking some up. You're not studying, and then you're asking people. People do mean well, but their practice is their practice. And to understand your magic, it is better that you understand and comprehend for yourself. And I think this thing with the preachers and all this stuff has led people to follow people instead of tap into their own power. You got your own power, you got your own magic. If you keep on following people, not your ancestors, and look within, you're going to be bamboozled. That's what's going to happen there. I know y'all don't want to hear this because we are people that we love worshiping other people because they have set that up for us like this. It stops you from trusting your own intuition and your own magic when you're doing this. You're crossing yourself up doing this. That's what's going to happen there. It's not like the answers are not there. The answers are right there in our face, but some of us, we don't want to take the time and sit. You're going to have to sit down and slow down with these spirits. Nothing ain't going to rock for you if you I have to be honest with you. I'm not going to lie to you. The same, these spirits like time. And if you ain't got time for them, they don't got time for you. Because time is the currency. Ritual is the currency. Tapping into your own power, being able to communicate with your spirits, your ancestors, is very important. You're going to stay dependent as long as you try to bypass and try to take a quick route. And magic is not about taking, oh, this is going to be fast and quick. No, it's about fixing and healing your life. Yeah, those spiritual baths are power. Water is powerful. Water is our first mother and our first ancestors. That's why I tell you, when you first get in there, you need to be on spiritual baths. Perfect that first. Perfect cleansing and protection with those spiritual baths before you pick anything else up. Use that to heal yourself and remove blocks and all that stuff before you start picking anything up. When you have perfected and you've seen changes and shifts in yourself, and you've been healing and you've seen ancestral communication and things like that, then I kind of recommend, okay, you've gained some insight, some personal power. Maybe you're ready. But this work over here, this ain't no easy. This ain't the easy way. This about personal power. It's not about easy way. Okay? This is about taking back our personal power, willing to do the ritual and the work to see shifts and changes in our physical reality. And just because they saying it's magic don't mean it's going to be easy. And don't mean it's going to happen fast, because you're going to have to be patient. Because for magic to unfold, for these energies, the way they work, their subtle energies, they do more of an unfoldment and shift. And it's a trip when you see it. It'll start rearranging things in your reality, so you can get the results of your intentions. That's how that works. Okay? Ritual is a medium through which the art of magic is practiced. It consists of an action or series of action, which may be entirely mental or physical, where the power of magic is released and directed towards the fulfillment of the specific desire. Energy never dies, it can be transformed and redirected. During the ritual, the person are using their attention and energy to bring about change. That's why I say, when you're doing your ritual, don't need a lot of distractions. You need to be focused on the thing that you are doing. No distractions, people coming in like things like that. A lot of people in our community, I think that's a hang up for them, because I'm very adamant about that. I want you to come to the ritual fully, not sleepy, not drowsy, but fully with your energy. Tap into your ashe. And I probably look abnormal to you guys during our rituals, because I come in there with my full self, full spirit, clapping my hands, stirring up my spirit, stirring up my magic to get it moving. That's how you should be going into ritual. Focused. Okay, with no distractions. If you want to see the results. Ain't gonna happen, if the dog is barking and the baby is crying, and it just ain't gonna happen. I know you don't want to hear this. It's not a popular truth. Okay? Nobody's showing you that. You want to learn a spell, and I will not show you one. I will not. It does when you don't understand the practice. What we doing here? Okay? During the ritual, the person. Okay, I just said that. that energy is transformed into the desired result. Just because you buy read a book, it will not bring forth magic. It is the training and discipline of the mind that brings forth magic. This is why consistent ritual is emphasized in hoodoo. Many people lack the results in their practices because they lack consistent ritual. Even when you were not engaged in a magic spell, ritual should be integrated into the practitioner's life. This can consist of saying psalms, prayers, doing libations, uh, and doing it daily. These disciplines keep the practitioners aligned with the spiritual power and the spiritual world. Okay? I had to learn that coming to Thailand. Okay? I've had to beef up my ritual and do more ritual. And being able to go to your table at a specific time, because we talked about that in our community, because there's different archangels that come on at different times that you can work with. Those are the times you should be at your altar working with that archangel. There's discipline to this. Okay, although the person is showing you a spell, you best believe they've done some type of work, and this is the most important part that you are missing. And I don't mind bringing it here so you can understand. When you do pick it up, you know what you're doing. The purpose of ritual is to bring about a heightened, exalted state of awareness that enables the focus of will upon the magical fulfillment, whatever it may happen to be. Ritual is an instrument to redirect the mind. That's what the ritual is doing, is helping you tap into that magical sphere. You have some people, they're wearing the robe, they're wearing the ring. In our case, a lot of us like wearing white because it attracts our ancestors, and it attracts good spirits towards us. And for the Wiccans, they like wearing black, but in hoodoo, we like wearing white. Now you can, some people they'll go into the whole sphere. They'll buy a robe, uh, and then you'll see that with the preacher. The preacher and the choir, they're wearing robes. They get into a magical state by putting on the robe. And some of the preachers, they do the same thing. They will put on the robe and the hat. Why? Because they're again tapping in to that, again conditioning themselves to tap into that ritual and spiritual sphere. That's what's happening there. You'll see that with the occultists too. That's why they're wearing the gear. That's what that represents. I have 4 kids, and one is a 6-month old. It's definitely going to take me some time to tune in a way. I need to. I'm currently doing what I can. Yep. I would say get the ancestral veneration going and the spiritual baths going until you can integrate. That's the most easiest thing to integrate. I think the spiritual baths, using it for self care, uh, I would be using it that way. I would take advantage of it that way. And ancestor veneration, I would definitely have that going. Have to do a lot of talking with them. So when you do pick up your stuff and decide to do something, you'll see some results. I'm just going to be honest with you. I know these people, I know people are coming up here showing you a spell or just saying this psalm. Yeah, you can say that psalm. You can get up every morning and say that psalm. But if you heavy or whatever, you might have to add something with it. You might have to layer with a bath. You might have to fast on top of it. Push back a plate or two. That's what we do over here. Okay? Ain't nobody just, I know they telling you, oh, this is so easy. All you gotta do is put this over here and put them herbs over there and over there and light it, and bam, your magic can happen. No. That don't, it sounds simple, don't it? No, it don't work like that. Magic has to have something to work with. It takes your participation. Okay? It take you're the creator and the god of it. You're taking control of it. So yeah, it's action on our part. We have to take some type of action. It's not going to move. Yep. I recommend it. Take your time with it. It's not a race. It's not a race, but the only way you're going to see results is you start doing it and studying it. Because once you start studying it and reading it, you're opening up new pathways in your mind to understand more about your magic and to understand the practice. It's not going to help if you're studying running to other people, asking them questions, and not sitting down somewhere learning it for yourself. It's not opening up no pathways like that. Our mind changes when we start reading things and sitting with things and comprehending with the things. If you don't like reading, listen to the book. If they got a documentary on it, listen to that. Get educated. Christianity held me down and back to. Okay. Regular practice of ritual magic conditions the mind perceptions that were once fixed begin to open and flow. That's what it's going to do. It's going to open up your mind. Once you start practicing and learning and studying for yourself. There's no quick way with this. I don't know why you would want it to be that way. Because what happens is people get out there full fledged, they think it's just this, and all kinds of they cross themselves up. They get scared because they jump the gun too soon. This ain't religion. We work over here. You're taking the responsibility to become spiritually educated about your own spiritual practices and your personal power. So yeah, okay. You don't want to drive a you wouldn't give a child, you wouldn't put a child in the driver's seat of a car. That child first has to grow up a little bit and learn and take the test and then learn how to drive the car. The same thing with magic. You have got people that didn't know what they're doing, invoking things, saying things, and then because they didn't study it, they don't understand it. They're just trying to take a shortcut and do something, and they mess up their life. That's what happened when somebody is showing you something. Okay, the pathways are open in the mind, and you gain a better understanding on operation of magic. Ritual changes the view of yourself. You realize how connected you are to the world around you. Okay, that's what's going on. You realize that you're connected uh, to the plant, to the trees, uh, water, fire. You realize that all these elements are all into you, and with you, you have the power in you to move these elements around in your favor when you understand this. But this takes ritual and this take conditioning the subconscious mind. Because once you start doing this, you're giving yourself permission to communicate with the spiritual realm. That's why we're constantly going to the ancestors. That's why we're constantly talking to them so we can have this spiritual experience. And you'll know if your ritual will be working. You can ask them for signs, or you can ask them to start coming up in your dreams. If you're being consistent, believe me, they're going to show up in your dreams. That's how you know the ritual is working, that you have tapped into you tapped into that spiritual essence of yourself, your own personal power. Okay. But the thing with having these experiences is being consistent at your rituals, being consistent at your study, whatever you're trying to learn, learning and comprehending the practice. Ritual magic is not easy, it's not an easy road. It takes work to receive consistent results. You would get some work that you do, and a lot of practitioners can attest to this. We got some work we do, and it just we didn't get the results. We can get results, so we go back and we do something another way, and then we get results doing it that way. So you'll get some like that. But if you get a natal, I think the natal chart was a level up for me, uh, because I was able to look what was in my chart, what elements were in there, and seeing what kind of magic that would work based on my chart. That can help, but it's not going to help either if you don't follow it. Okay, the only way it's going to help is you get an alignment with it and start up integrating it and start using the information. Okay, that's another way that you can look at it. But again, even with that, you're still going to have to tweak the application on how to approach your magic. Okay, you'll start getting results. You get better results if you just ask your ancestors. I've seen the best results is when you go to the ancestors and you ask them how you should do it or should you do it. You're usually going to get good results every time. Okay, but it takes some slowing down. This ain't no fast nothing. It takes some slowing down. Okay, there would be nothing for the mind to it is I'm sorry, it is doubtful that magic can be worked without support or framework of ritual. It's not going to work as if it's not a framework. This is ancient. I'm not making this up. This is the ancient way. We have always did this. And hoodoo, we have always set up altars and performed rituals. You're going to see this over and over and over and over and over again in every spiritual book. It's not a spiritual book that we look at that this ain't important. I don't know any. This is what they do in Ifa. This is what they do in voodoo. They're constantly doing rituals, putting stuff on the altars, going there, appeasing and servicing these spirits. Because these spirits like ritual, they like consistency. And the more you're doing that, you're building a relationship with the spirit and you're building your own ashe up. Okay? You're building your link with the magical world, a spiritual realm is growing, is increasing. That power is increasing each time. Okay? It's just like putting money in a bank account. You just steady putting ashe in and they're building it up, building it up, building it up. So when you do get ready to ask them for something, because you've been consistent with them, or you petition it for something, or talk to them about something, you get results because you've been consistent. You think you're not doing working with spirits when you're working with magic. Yes, you are. That's why you're working with root spirits, plant spirits. You're working with spirit. You're working with these energies. If energies make you feel better, then you can use that word energy. Okay? There would be nothing for the mind to grasp, and without ritual, there would be nothing for the mind to grasp and manipulate. There needs to be a foundation for magic to work. For the energy of magic to be released and redirected, some structure is required. It doesn't have to be complicated, okay? It doesn't have to be complicated. It can be so simple. It can be as simple as lighting a candle, having water, having a Bible out, and just reading the scripture and just talking to your ancestors. It can be that simple. It doesn't have to be elaborate. You don't have to go out and run out and buy a whole bunch of stuff. What you do need is a sincere heart and an open mind. That's the most important thing you need to have while doing magic. I don't care if you got all that other fancy stuff. If you don't have a sincere heart and an open mind, ain't none of it gonna move for you. You can have all that stuff, but if you ain't got no sincere heart and an open mind, that's not gonna move for you. You can have nothing but a water and a candle and a sincere heart and an open mind, and you can work all types of magic. You can do something with a little bit of salt. You can make something shake with a little bit of salt because you have a sincere heart and an open mind, and you're consistent at your ritual. Matter of fact, I like the fact The less stuff you have, you'll be surprised at what you can do. I'm experiencing that now. I don't have anything fancy here, but regular little old stuff. But I'm making stuff shake and move over here. And I am very surprised. And you're talking about somebody who had when I was in the States, I had a variety of herbs and things I use. Now that I use less, it's like I get the best results. Okay. So don't get caught up in all these herbs and stuff. The most important thing is establishing your ritual, your consistency with with your ancestors and with yourself. And if you're in our community, you know that we get you started with working with angels. We get you started with working with your ancestors. And we recommend if you are doing any work and and you feel like you're not strong enough to petition the saints to help you. Start working with saints. Those are the things that we have you working at again to perfect your ritual. It's safe. It's going to help you heal and help you remove blocks. That's the way we said it. That is the way I recommend. You hear me say that over and over again. I'm saying it again because when it happens, people get over there in our community and they say, "Where do I start?" Wait a minute now. I repeated this several times to you where you need to start. You need to start with your ancestors. You need to start with your spiritual baths. Get your ritual started. Be consistent. Read the information. There's no reason for you to be confused. If you are confused in our community, or if I'm mentoring you, you're confused because that's what you're choosing. If you have not made, to see the results that you want to see in your practice, you get in your practice. We get in our practice. Whatever we get out of our practice is what we put in. If you're not seeing the results, you look at yourself because it's all going to start with you. It's nobody, what are you doing? I have to ask you that. What are you doing? Okay, let's look at what you're doing. Let's look at your mind. Let's look at what's going on here. This is how this works. I'm gonna take this fluff and all this stuff out of here so you don't be misled. Because I want you to see results in it. And when something is not working to your liking, you'll have things to review to try to fix it. Okay? I have to do the same thing. I'm doing the same thing now. So I'm talking to myself too. I just had to do some work on myself this morning and still got some work the ancestors want me to do on myself. It doesn't stop. Okay, so I don't care what these people saying they're power. You get people calling themselves this name and saying that they're all powerful, or you think that they have this special gift. They still have things they have to do to stay in alignment with their spiritual gifts and power. It's a way of life. This is nothing that we just pick up and say, "Oh, I'm gonna do this today, and I'm not gonna do it again until next year." No, it's a way of life. Okay, we integrate it. For the energy of magic to be released and redirected, some structure is required. It doesn't have to be complicated. To work magic without ritual would be like trying to draw water out of a well without a bucket. Ain't gonna work. It ain't gonna work. It ain't got nowhere to go. Okay? Ain't got nowhere to go. Ritual is the bucket, and the water itself is the raw magical potency that can assume any shape. Okay, the oldest form of magic is shamanism, which you're going to hear them talk about this in the book. They are going to go back to shamanism, and shamanism is going to lead back to the practices of the divine feminine. She was the first priestess, she was the first god. Okay, that's me taking the misogyny out and all the hijacking and all that stuff out of it when I tell you this. As many people are not going to tell you that far. They're not going to go as deep. And because I'm nerdy and I've studied this for over 20 years, I can come here and take the hijacking out of it because I'm a nerd. I want to know where it come from. I want to know how it works. Okay, so that's where shamanism comes from. It's the oldest form. Magic is shamanism, where the roles of the priest and the magician are intertwined, like the magician and the physician. So you'll see that with root work. You'll see that also with conjure too. You kind of see that with root work and conjure. The root work is also a healer, but the root worker also, they call them, some kind of called two-headed or whatever. They can also work with spirits with no problem. You'll have people. We had many ancestors like that. Now, what's so interesting about this book, and what's so interesting about many of the ritual occult books we cover, they really can't really understand their own Western occultism without talking about the Kemetic or Egyptian magic or sciences. They have to talk about it because that's where they're getting it from. Okay, they have to talk about it because that's where they are learning to develop their own magic and learning to develop their own spiritual concepts. Okay. The Egyptian hierophant exerted their power by means of words. The great results were to be obtained by the use of certain words, which to be efficacious must be uttered in a proper tone of voice by duly duly qualified man about the words of power. So again, they're using these words. The Egyptians, they had these certain words that they could utter that bring about a magical effect. Sort of like this word they have, abracadabra. And so they had certain words that would force things to work. Okay. When Egyptian words are spoken, the force of things signified works in. The use of words of power was adopted by the Greeks and continued to be significant part of magic down to the present. This is why it's good to be opening your mouth. This is why when you're saying your work and during your practice, when you first start practicing or whatever, your ancestors will probably have you being quiet, closing that, again, because when you're closing your mouth, it forces you, their inner voice, to start speaking. Self awareness happens, especially if you're doing shadow work. And we're going to talk about that again. This is going to come up again in another one of our resources. Okay. So your mouth is very powerful because what was first? The word. The word was first. Okay. You're seeing in the Bible, God spoke and it was. So that's how powerful your words is. Okay. And choosing them carefully. That's how powerful your mouth is. And when you learn how powerful it is, you'll probably be wanting to keep it closed a lot. Because sometimes we be crossing ourselves up with our own mouth. Okay. This tradition underscores the belief that spoken words, when combined with intent and correct pronunciation, can influence reality and connect the practitioner with divine forces. Mastery of these words requires not only knowledge, but also spiritual discipline and alignment. Got to be in alignment with it. That's just like when you're saying affirmation. It's another thing to say the affirmation, but do you feel it? What you putting about it? I give you an example, and you probably heard me say this before. When I'm communicating with these angels, and angels sometimes they can take their time to come, depending on what angel you're working with. But when I'm working with some of these angels, I be a matter of fact because I let you know you got to come, and I mean that. See, I say that with tenacity. I say that with confidence. I say that with surety. Okay, that's just like when you're saying your affirmation. I declare that I'm abundant. I know I'm abundant. I live in an abundant universe. Okay, I tap into infinite bank, a limitless bank that belongs to the universe. Okay, there is no limit to that bank. I can withdraw anytime. So again, saying it with the emotions, because what is emotions? It's moving the work when you say it with certainty. Okay? You're putting that power, that ashe behind it. The power of Egyptian magic was legendary throughout the ancient world. We thoroughly reviewed their magic. It is the framework for many magical operations and often utilized by many of the occultists or spiritual practitioners. The Egyptians were so adept in their magical practice, the king would make wax figures of enemy ships and troops and his own naval forces and place them on a surface of a bowl filled with water. Then, with the black ebony wand and other words of power, invoked spirits, the wax images would spring to life and enact the coming battle. Wax figures representing Egypt would sink the opposing wax figure, causing the real enemy to sink out into the ocean. And so these are the things that the Egyptians did when they saw their opponents coming up on them and they were coming up on the shores. They would simply go to their altar and perform this ritual, and they would see out there that the sink would sink of their enemies in it. This is just how powerful their magic is. That's why you see people go back to it every time, every time. This is why you see pale face people want to pick up your stuff. They want to pick up hoodoo. It ain't because it don't work, it's because it works. And what they don't understand is this is ancestral. This is the magic that you have going through you. And you probably think hoodoo ain't got nothing to do with Egyptian magic, but the Americas is Egypt. It is the ancient Egypt. That magic was always there. It's never left. I show you that over and over again. Even when we're looking at Mexican magic, um, what is it? Curanderism. We looking at all that. They're looking at their root workers and stuff. It never left there. The whole land is full of magic, and it's in you. Okay, that's the magic that you have running through you. Why you think people trying to copy Black Americans? It's the magic. Why do you think we have black girl magic? It's the magic. They see it. You seeing it. They know you got it. Okay? You just not aware of it. You're not using it to change your life and fix your life. They already know you got it. Why you think they go to our church? I was listening to some white boy. It was a white boy. I don't know where he said he was from, but he said they went to their own Christian conservative church. And they were visiting another country or something. And so they were Baptists though, and so they decided to go to a Baptist black church. They didn't realize it was black till they went in there. He said he said he never felt God like that before. He said they was getting down. He said the preacher started preaching, and the preacher was sweating. He was running up and down the aisles. Everybody started shouting. The choir was singing. They was playing the organ while the preacher was preaching. It just bamboozled him because he had never felt. He said, I don't want to go to another church unless it's a black Baptist church because it's embedded in the church. Okay, so black church, you can't get rid of hoodoo. It's in there. That's straight hoodoo. That is specifically, again, that is a signature of the black church, and that is hoodoo. When you're seeing that, he got a chance to experience hoodoo for the first time because he had never felt God up in the church. But you saw them ancestors come down, come down, ride our ancestors, and something holy start happening up in there. Okay. It is specific, and you will also see other races that will mimic the way we worship, the way we praise. They will mimic that. Okay, and I know the church Christian people got try to get mad at me. You still doing hoodoo up in there, running up and down the aisles, and the preacher's hooping and hollering, and he's sweating. You still doing hoodoo? I don't care what you're saying. You doing magic in the church. Y'all calling it something else, making country oils and stuff. Yes, you is. Okay, you can get mad at me all you want to. Okay, you done just forgot, and they got you calling it something else. And you will see, they'll see that because again, when other people come to our church that's not in our culture, it blows their mind because it's totally different from the way they run their church. You're gonna feel something. You come to a black church, we're gonna make sure you do feel something. Okay? You're gonna feel something, you're gonna be filled up when you leave out of there. When all that singing and preaching get done, you're gonna feel something. That's how it used to be. Now I don't know what they doing in here. A lot of them is, they ain't getting in there, honey. You used to have some preachers, they sweating when they sermon. I mean, they just sweating and sweating. It's running down the aisle. Okay? And you can feel the spirit moving up in that church. That is unique to the black church. Okay? And if you looked at a voodoo ceremony or a Ifa ceremony, it looks just like the black church. Look just like the black church. It don't look no different. Only difference they got drums and stuff like that, but it looked the same. The Holy Spirit falling out, talking in tongues, it looked just the same. Okay, they just done put a Christian label on it. I have to say that. Okay, and that's the same kind of energy that you should be feeling on your altar. Your ancestors already gave you the blueprint on how to tap into that ashe. Because when you go into come to our rituals, you're gonna see that being done. We go right to the script of our ancestors, how they opened themselves up for this spiritual energy to move. That's why our songs and gospels are so important because it helps us tap into that ancestral frequency. They knew exactly what they were doing. And a lot of these gospel songs, they are um, they are developed by black people, by our ancestors, especially Way in the Water, Go Down Pharaoh, Moses, Let My People Go. All of these things are, again, they are exclusive to the black church. Blues music, even our music, it's embedded all together. Our ancestors knew exactly what they're doing. Hoodoo ain't left. You just don't know where to look. You don't know how to do it. Okay, you don't understand it. It ain't never left. It's all around you. It's in your culture. And then people from other nations would say, black people ain't got no culture. What are you talking about? You sit up there dressing like us, got your hair like us, trying to act like us, talk like us. What are you talking about? You got people all trying the world trying to rap, dress like us. What are you talking about? We ain't coming over there trying to be like you, dressing like you. You coming over here trying to be like us and dress like us. It ain't nothing more beautiful than a black woman, and I said it. Ain't no beauty, nothing can reach that. No nation can reach the standards, the beauty standards of a black woman. I don't care how much pale stuff they put on their face. You cannot beat that. You could never. That is the standard. That is the beauty standard. That's the epitome of beauty. Is the black woman. Nothing can hold a candle to her. You can try. You can try, but we know you just playing. I can say that with confidence. We are the standard for beauty. I don't care how much you try to, make yourself light skinned or whatever, whatever. Okay? The melanin is where the beauty is at. And you got a lot of these people trying to get pale, thinking that's the standard, trying to look like raggedy people. I'm done with that. Okay? But that's the standard. For example, like the root worker and the conjurer, at some point, the root worker calls on the divine spiritual help in the healing process. Magic is more fundamental than religion, it has a science to it. Religions use a form of ritual that pleads help from a deity, yet this is a magical act that lacks personal power. That's the difference in religion. You praying, you're asking for something outside of you to help you and not accessing the personal power within you to move it. So you're rendering your part. That's why they got you on your knees praying and stuff. That's not how prayer works. They want you begging and stuff. And that's the thing about it. Then get, how, I don't know who has jumped. How could you go back to religion after practicing magic? That's just a regression because like the young lady said, it didn't work. And she said she struggled every day not to go back to it. I would have been and went back to it because that don't work. I would recommend that you go back and look at that. You was not prepared for spiritual warfare. Eh, You gonna be going into spiritual warfare because them spirits gonna be seeing you healing. They're gonna be seeing you healing other people. They're gonna be seeing you dodging you. Because again, if you have healed and expelled them out of your sphere, you got good boundaries, and you've been helping people, you're gonna be up under spiritual attack. That's why you need to have a spiritual regimen in place when that happens. If you're not under spiritual attack, then you ain't doing nothing. You ain't doing something. Them spirits do not like to see you happy. They're gonna always be in the way. It's up to us to recognize it when we see it. But when you go back, you can't go back to sleep. That's just like, you woke now. You can't unknow nothing. When you go back to church, that's saying you want to regress, and you want to unknow something. You can never unknow that. That's why you want to go back over there so bad, because now you know what they don't know. You have already, you have grown in that area. You know how how the spiritual system work, how that's supposed to work. Don't get scared. Learn spiritual warfare. They're gonna roll up on you. I had an incident the other night. I said, now I just did all this. I did a lot of healing on myself, doing my spiritual work, really beefing up the rituals. When I'm not here, when y'all don't see me, I'm either working on the community or I'm doing some heavy ritual. But I went to the go get us something to eat the other day. Yesterday. It'd be so hard to look at pale faced people. It's like everywhere they go, they be the same entitled, regular people. I don't care what country they from. Y'all just carry that same entitled stuff. Oh God. And I guess that's my lesson to learn. I guess I can't stand to look at you. Sometimes I can't stand to look at you. And then the people here, yeah, these people is regular. Don't try to do them no special favor. Try to appeal to them. Don't try to appeal to them. But I had this situation that happened last night, and the vendor was like, because these people like in the way, they were standing in the way, yet they see people behind them that's ready to order. Instead of moving out the way, they'll just stand there. It's the tripped out thing to me. I said, what the hell? So I just stood there, and so the Thai vendor uh kind of signaled, for me to place my order. And when I walked up there, this European man was like, "This is a lane." Yeah. I just looked at him. And so she was steady motioning for me to give a total. And I just looked at him. I said, no, let him go first. Because he need his stuff. They're in survival mode. These people are not used to anything. This is why they got to fight for stuff. This is why they got all this entitlement, because you're not used to something. I have to remember that about yourself, because I remember y'all stealing and robbing people, and you have to make yourself be first because you're not used to anything. You're not used to good things. You're not used to any of that. So I have to look at you like that. And then, after I said, let him go first, and the look I had on my face, he was like, no, I would just say, no, no, no. You're such a fucking gentleman, aren't you? I'm going to let you go first, gentleman. Let him go first, for he hurt himself. And I walked away from there, but I was talking to myself behind it. I was like, look, I'm probably have to stop going to that vendor because uh look, you trying to get these people special treatment, and these are raggedy people, and y'all gonna wake up, and these people gonna own half of your country. That's what's gonna happen there. Keep on with the shenanigans with them, okay? Keep on. Y'all already having problems with the folks. Keep on with the shenanigans with them. Keep worshiping these people and see how that's gonna get you. Keep trying to bleach your skin to look like them, and that's where that's gonna get you. It's disgusting. I can't stand to look at them. I think they need their own place. I digress, ancestors. Please forgive me. It's the same attitude with you. I don't care what country they come from. It'd be the same scenario with you. The same scenario, especially with the European males, the pale face male. It's the same thing with you. It's the same entitlement. I can't with y'all. It's so ugly. But I had to do that thing. I'm like, this is this thing. Okay, trying to pull me into warfare with it. It was very perplexing when it was happening. I was like, well, wait a minute. You know, I was like, no, I'm not. I'm just gonna say this and let him go first, and that's enough to let him know you have bad manners. Not gonna even go, but back in the day, I would have gave you the business. I'd have gave you a good tongue lashing. I would have been up for that, and probably would have cut you down. But no, okay, I know what you're trying to pull me into. I'm trying to do better. Okay, I'm trying to do better. I'm doing better. I'm not gonna, you're not gonna take my power away. Let you go first. But on the inside, these are the thoughts that I was having about them. So I'm like, look, okay. So they're gonna be trying to pull you into spiritual warfare all the time. Cause you see, those spirits can see that you see. I went through this with my family, didn't know what I was looking at, but it was these spirits jumping in and out of these people. Okay, and you don't understand spiritual warfare, and the church don't explain spiritual warfare, but nothing but a devil or a Satan and with horns and stuff like that. Now it's gonna be in them people, and some of them people in them church got them spirits in them. But because the church don't understand spiritual warfare, they don't understand that these spirits work through you. They got you thinking everything outside of you. No, 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 no. These spirits are jumping in you and out of you as well. And if you don't get a hold of your own energy, and if you're not tapped into your God self, you're gonna be influenced by them too. Okay? And they don't understand spiritual warfare. They don't even want to deal with their own wounds and traumas. You got raggedy stuff all up in the church and all that stuff. And they don't understand spiritual warfare. Okay? And their spirits don't like it when you're not in darkness with them. So yeah, you would be under spiritual attack. They don't like it if you're gonna be healing somebody and taking them out of spiritual darkness. They can no longer manipulate and feed off that person. They can no longer manipulate and feed off you. That's what's happening there. You're gonna go in the spirit. So that's why when you get over here, that's the first thing I tell you to do. Don't pick up nothing first. Don't pick up nothing yet. Get a relationship with your ancestors. You'll see less spiritual warfare and have more protection if you get up under your ancestors, your most elevated ancestors, not your family members. I'm not talking about your family members. I'm talking about your most elevated ancestors, the highly evolved ancestors. You don't have to know them, but they are there. That's why that is recommended. So get ready for that. Okay, that's why you're learning a psychic defense. You're learning to take spiritual baths and things like that and cleansing. You're learning to put salt and stuff down or some type of protection down in your home. And by all means, don't practice magic in your house if you ain't got no protection put down. You need to put some protection down in your house so things can't be running in and out your house while you're doing ritual in your house. Putting barriers up and boundaries up to keep yourself protected. These are the basic things that need to be learned and understood and ritually practiced before you start picking up magic. Ain't nobody telling you that though. They just got you doing a magic spell and you ain't got no salt at your front door. You don't know what's in your house. The house ain't cleansed, but you doing you just doing all kinds of stuff because somebody showed you a magic spell. And none of these things are in order. Because if you come to me and tell me something that worked, these are the things I'm gonna ask you. Okay, so what's at the front door? Is the house protected? These are some of the things that be missed. The house is not protected. There been a while since you took some spiritual bath or did any type of spiritual maintenance on yourself, or you're living with somebody and they're bringing things in and out. Okay, that we probably need to be looking at and giving them something to do so they don't be bringing stuff in the house. So these are all the things that need to be considered when you're doing this. Okay, because everything is spirit. Until you understand it, everything is spirit. I know they got you thinking with this physical realm, this physical reality. No, that ain't real. None of this will exist without the spiritual realm. Okay. Magic itself flows. Yeah. Magic itself flows forth when the practitioner becomes united with the divine powers and embodies these divine powers. Some practitioners will have some issues with this part due to blocks, trauma, lack of self-confidence or self-esteem. This is why inner work and healing is recommended before trying to do magic. Your personal power should be first used to improve yourself internally before improving your life externally. The inner world must be in alignment with the external reality you are trying to create. You've heard me say that before. It's got to be in alignment. It's got to be right. Okay? That's important. I'm dropping gems on you guys right now. I am dismantling a lot of misrepresentation of hoodoo, and you probably don't even realize it. I'm probably saying some of the things that you can use to bring improvements to your practice. I probably am, because nobody's going to have this discussion because they want to have you to put get you in with this power mystery thing with hoodoo magic, and I don't think it's fully being represented. Okay, I understand what they're trying to do: get you interested, get followers, be provocative, show you something different. Yeah, they're trying to make it fun and easy. I'm showing you the work behind it before you start, because you're putting the cart before the horse. And I'm showing you where the foundation is. And so some of you have probably never heard of this side of hoodoo before, uh, beyond the Bible scriptures and things like that. And that's just surface level. And I don't appreciate what I really don't appreciate is people come here showing you spells without saying, hey, don't do this without a relationship with your ancestors. This is the source it is. But they will freely show you something and not emphasize anything about the ancestors. I'm starting to see this with Ifa. I'm starting to see this with voodoo too. I don't know if this is a new age thing with the new generation. I don't know what this is, but this is not it. And I'm finding a lot of people having to go back to square one because, they've had this unpleasant experience, and now they want to blame it on the religion and blame it on the people. No, if something is going on, it has to do with you, or it wasn't correctly information wasn't provided to you correctly. Okay. Now, someone in our and what's interesting about this, because we're going to go into this at another time, is this book mentions the Abramelin system. Okay. And the Abramelin system is the first system that set up a format for ritual, okay, for the patriarchs, okay, for the Abrahamic patriarchs. This is the first time that they develop their ritual, which we're going to go into that the Abramelin system. We're going to go into that next week. That's going to be a very interesting subject that we're going to go into. I thought I put that book there, and I didn't. I could have sworn you guys had the Abramelin book because we look at that ritual system, okay? Because we know where they're getting it from. Our ancestors know where they got it from, okay? So the ritual in achieving knowledge and the conversation with the holy guardian angel through long periods of purification and prayer and devotion. That's going to be an interesting topic. We're going to go get into that even more to help you understand more about the ritual and why we're doing the ritual and why it works together like that. Okay. But that, like, this is work. Even you're seeing, even if we're looking at Solomonic magic, we're looking at Moses magic, and when you're looking at the 6, 7 books of Moses, there is purification, sanctification that is going on there. There is ritual going on there in structure. This is why our ancestors was looking at this. They weren't just doing the spell somebody showed them. And many times they were being spirit led to put things together. They weren't, but nobody, too many people showing them things. Okay. A lot of them was putting things together. Now, did we have common rituals for healing and different applications for them? Yeah, we did have common rituals when it comes to spiritual baths. Those things are pretty much the same. But when it comes to your own magic, your own ashe, and working magic in your life to see changes in in your life, that comes from you. It ain't gonna go from nobody. You know, it's gonna come from you, your ancestors and your spirit guides. Their magic is coming from their ancestors and their spirit guides. It's got their own signature. It is an art. I'll say this again. It is an art. Everybody art don't look the same. Every artists have their own medium. Some of them using paint, some of them using markers, some of them using spray paint, some of them using, it depends on what they're using. They might be using sewing. They may be, just depends on, that's where they magic at. That's their art. That's how they magic work. We have to find out what is our art. How do we create our magic? That's how that's like. Okay, I wouldn't expect your magic to look like somebody else's. That's why when you get over there, even though we have resources there and you're exposed to a variety sort of rituals. I mean, so many rituals that to help you do a variety sort of work. But what you will hear me say, you're not going to see me share anything like that. What you'll hear me say, go to your ancestors first when you start to put that work together, because they may want it to look a certain kind of way for you. They might even have an easier way for you to do the work. Don't just follow their work, because that they're sharing you with you their spells that they do, that their ancestors showed them. That's their art that they're sharing with you. Because what usually happens is people say, I did that and that didn't work. Well, that wasn't yours to do. Why would you follow that to the exact? Did you ask your ancestors that did you ask them? Do they want you to do it that specific way? Did you go to them for guidance? Because the ancestors will work you through it. They were they're there to help work you through the magic, to help you tap into it. That's what they're there to make sure it's clear that you can do it and provide you guidance and insight on doing the work. Okay, they are your spiritual allies. They can see things in the spiritual realm you can't. They know things that you don't. You don't, and that's the main thing too. When you're working with these spirits, you can't have no attitude with them of entitlement and that you know everything. I had to learn that with the ancestors because I was going back and forth with them about something. It was a long time ago, and they was telling me stuff that I didn't. I hadn't ran up on the information. And I was like, I'm not gonna do that because I don't know nothing about that. They said, we know you don't know. What are you talking about? Because if you knew, you wouldn't be talking to us, wouldn't you? And if you know everything, why are you talking to us? Don't ask us nothing if you think you already know something. That is the wrong attitude to have with us when we tell you something. We know you don't know. That's why we telling you. And just because you don't know don't mean what we telling you is wrong. I mean, they was talking to me just like that. They humbled me so quick. And you have to have that attitude with you. You can't have that kind of attitude with these spirits. You better, if you are a child of somebody, especially your ancestors, if they telling you something. Okay? Because if you got that kind of ego attitude, you can mess yourself up because you don't know more than these spirits. That's if you knew more, why you need them? That's what my ancestors told me. If you knew more, why you need us? Why you calling on us if you knew? I said, well, damn, they got a point. Okay, we didn't have that argument no more. Okay, didn't have that argument anymore. I started just listen and really pay attention. Just because other people didn't know didn't mean what they said wasn't true. They have revealed other things to me that other people I don't think they know, and I just don't share it with other people. Okay, that just the information, that's the knowledge that we have together. But they've shared a variety of things with me that people just they don't know. Okay, and I haven't seen a lot of that stuff in books as well. Okay, and I'm not going to divulge it here, but when you start working with your ancestors, they'll start sharing things with you that's not in the book that you don't know. This will be the closed information nobody knows. That's why it's not written down. Okay. And that's why I tell people when they think they're practicing hoodoo and they don't look like us, I say, you think you're doing that, but you're not. You can follow everything in these books, but this thing gonna work because you don't have any ancestral lineage to this. I was just hearing some woman talk about she called Oshun a pale faced woman trying to ask for a favor. First of all, that's not how you work with these spirits. We don't go to them asking them for favors. Okay, we set up a table to them and we start serving them, developing a relationship with them before we ask for anything. But she was going to the ocean and she said she had went to the ocean twice to ask Oshun to grant her a wish. I'm just like, see, this is what I'm talking about, y'all pale-faced people. You always try to do something to extract. You don't develop a relationship with these spirits. You go there asking for something. That is not how we work with these spirits over here. We service them. We service them. But you think by God giving her offering, you can do her wish. This is type of colonizing thinking. We don't operate like that over there. We set up tables with spirits and develop relationships with them. And after they have gained our trust and we have gained um, a connection in the relationship and it's flowing good, then we may petition them for things and ask them to do things in our life. But this again, this is what you said. I went to the ocean. I did an offering to. It don't work like that. It just don't. It does not. And anybody that's in Ifa is in voodoo, they'll tell you the same thing that I'm telling you. It does not work like that. You ain't got no altar. You have not recognized this spirit. You haven't set up no relationship with her. And yet, what did she say? She said that second night she went to bed and went to sleep. And Oshun said, you're not the right ancestry. Told her this. You're not the right ancestry. Just you can stop petitioning me because I'm not doing it. And this will happen too if you try to venerate or work with a lot of these laws, or if you try to work with a lot of these orishas. Some of them don't want to talk to you if you don't have a relationship with your ancestors because it's ancestral. Some of them are not going to talk come your way if you ain't been consistent with having an altar to service them. That's why you're seeing that in Ifa. That's why you're seeing all these altars set up because they service them. And their spells work because they have a relationship with these spirits that make sure that their magic is clear and it works. Because the energy has to be clear. They make sure that no energy can hinder the work that they're doing. The same thing the angels do. They clear the way so no obstruction gets in the way of your frequency so it can reach its target and manifest. They're making sure to keep all that other static energy away. That's why you're having them work like this. That's why this is this is how this works. Okay, but that young lady thought she can go. That not how that works. Okay, you have to have a relationship with these spirits. And here somebody, some witch then told her, oh, you need to go out and do an offer to us. Why don't you go out and petition your own gods and goddesses, the North, what you got, the Norse gods, the Viking gods, whatever they is. Y'all got so many other gods over here. There's no reason for you to be picking up anything indigenous, African or hoodoo or whatever. No reason for, and they got this kind of thinking because to your Ifa and your voodoo people, you keep initiating them. And so this give they had think they got some type of privilege. The ancestors rolling over in the grave while y'all doing this stuff. This is why they think that. That's what's gonna happen to that. But she got to answer for herself. Oshun told her no. Oshun said told her no, I'm not, I'm not for your ancestry. And that's why you heard me when I said that about the MAGA people. Why come y'all don't call on y'all own ancestors? It trips me out. I kind of think you know that your ancestors raggedy and that, why won't you call on them? It trips me out, you know. And they are so obsessed with our magic. They are so obsessed with our other stuff. You don't see us being obsessed with their stuff. I don't see too many people being obsessed with y'all, y'all guys or anything like that. But you guys are with our stuff and you got your own stuff. It's a slap in your ancestors' face when you do that. Okay? Hear your ancestors, call on your ancestors, call on your own gods. Okay, that's what I got for you. But that lady did that and she got an answer, and that's just not the way we operate with spirits. It's disrespectful. Okay, it's disrespectful. And to work with any spirit or whatever, even with the saint, even with your ancestors, you had to set up an altar. You had to be consistent with that. So what make you think you can go wake up one day and say, I'm gonna do an offering to Oshun and see if she grant my wish? She is not a genie, she is not a fantasy or whatever. That's so disrespectful. She is a real spirit, a real force that you have to develop a relationship with. She ain't nobody just hand out favors like that. But this is what people got you thinking. They got you thinking these spirits work like that. I'm gonna tell you right now, these spirits don't work like that. You're gonna come up short every time if you got this kind of colonizer mind. Okay? You're gonna come up short every time. You have to develop a relation. And if you scared of spirits in hoodoo, don't come over here because you're gonna be working with a spirit. There's no way around that. I don't know a magic book or a book that we're looking at, even the book that our ancestors and people in our community has written. You're going to be working with a spirit. I don't care. And I kind of, I'm a surprised you don't know that when you get over here. I'm surprised that you try to avoid that when you get over here. I'm just like, I'm perplexed by that. I'm like, how come you didn't know that? Okay. How come you ain't know that? Yeah, you're gonna have to work with that. It's nothing. I can't change that. That's not gonna change. Okay. And so, although Abramelin he did not complete the original 6 month of the retreat described in the Grim War, because what happened in Abramelin, I don't want to try to. I'm giving a spoiler here. But although, Abramelin, he developed this ritual to try to communicate with his holy guardian angel, he did not complete it. And yet you have other occultists getting their hand on this knowledge. And so they're having to complete it and tweak it to work for them. But he had a profound experience and it shaped his magical philosophy because, again, he was getting up at 3 or 5 o'clock in the morning. That is the key to really communicating with spirits at those hours. Well, we'll go into that another time, but that is the key. Okay. If you really need to get some stuff moving and you really need to get it going and you really be trying to petition that spirit, that is the best time to do it. Okay, Miss Penny, I need a saving badly. By the way, love your hair. Thank you. Okay. So again, there is got to slow down and think. Just like you develop a relationship with somebody you just met, it's the same with these spirits. To treat them as real. Just because you can't see them with your naked eye don't mean that they're there, they're not there, and that they're not real. They're very real. They're very, very real. Okay. You just not have not cultivated an awareness to communicate with them. And that's why we're doing the ritual to open up ourselves to communicate with them. Okay. There are several mentions of several systems of magic to help develop rituals in our book, Ritual Magic. It covers shamanism, which I like that about that. I love that they cover shamanism. They have to anyway because uh you because occultism comes from shamanism. Those spiritual concepts they come from the divine feminine shamanism. So they have to. Then they talk about voodoo. Have to talk about voodoo because uh again, we're talking about ancestry, we're talking about spirit. And we just talked about African shamanism in our community, and you have a whole resource on explaining African shamanism. And we really dive deep into voodoo. Okay. We looked at voodoo from, about three or four different perspectives to help you understand that as well. Got to talk about this to understand some of the spiritual energies that's in hoodoo, because that's where these concepts, some of them come from. And voodoo is not just from Africa. I have to say this again. America has their own form of voodoo. Most indigenous people have their own form of voodoo. It just means ancestral or spirit. They have their own ancestral spiritual sanctification where they sanctify their ancestors and they become like lords or deities in their culture. Just like you see in the Catholic priests, okay, in Catholicism. They got all saints, they got all these saints, and they got saints veneration. These people are conjuring. What are they doing? They are honoring these ancestral spirits that have now become saints. And you got ancestors just like that in you. When you call on your elevated unknown ancestors, you calling on these ancestors that were saints, that were shamans, that were healers, and quite naturally, some of them are gods. We are not talking about your family member. We're talking about ancestors with power. Can your family member help you if they pass away? Some of them can, but they're not going to have as much power as the most elevated ancestors. They're not going to have that much power and authority as the most elevated ancestors. Matter of fact, the elevated ancestors you're calling on is going to help heal a lot of family members that have passed away, because that's much of the work you're going to be doing when you do shadow work. You're gonna be sending them more healing energy while you heal yourself. Again, building your ashe and repairing your lineage, repairing your bloodline. This how this works. Okay. I hope this helping you understand some things and put some things together, and it's helping you dodge the hijacking, especially in our community. I hope it is good, but we already did a full review on this. You guys get the 411 before anyone. And there's things over there I say that I don't say here. Okay. So again, looking at the shamanism, looking at those things, they covered that in the book. Another thing they cover is John D. and Kelly. They cover econa- okay, I'm gonna say this wrong. I'd rather say angel magic. Okay, and the angel dic alphabets. What some call echinacea magic or incarnation magic. Okay. And we covered this in our community where we talk about the angel alphabets, how you can use them to write your petitions. If you don't want your petitions to be read, or you're trying to communicate with that angel, you can communicate with that angel in their language using the angel alphabet. Okay, and just bring more power to your petition. You can do it that way as well. And we got so many angel books over there, it ain't even funny. Okay, we got plenty of angel books over there. So if you're interested in doing that work, look at those books. Angels are good for your healing. They're good at opening up your mind and helping you be able to shift your perspective and access your magic. They're going to help you with that. That's why I recommend you working with them. Okay, because our mind really needs to be worked on if we're to access magic. We have provided a wealth of resources about working with angels on all levels. The best way to work with any spirit is through the act of ritual. You got to get that ritual started. You got to be consistent. And believe me, they're going to come in your dream. They're going to pop up in your dream. I can guarantee you that for sure it's going to work. That I can guarantee. If you're doing the work over there, because the way uh, we present the information over there is we want you to get results. I want you to get results. It ain't gonna do me no good to uh, show you a spell and you have no ashay, you have no spiritual relationship with your ancestors, you have no friends in the spiritual realm that can help your magic stay clear and get results. And so the way we present it over there is if you get results, if you do the rituals and you stay consistent, you're going to get results. That is the way we present it over there. I don't need you coming back talking about, well, Miss Penny, you showed me that spell and that word. Wait a minute. Because I wouldn't have showed you no spell. I would have. Did you talk to your ancestors first? Have you gotten that together? What kind of feedback you been getting from your ancestors? How consistent are you with that? Did they tell you to do that? We're gonna go right back to that. We're gonna go right back to that. Cause when I get to prying and troubleshooting and stuff, it's usually gonna be something like that that's going on. And then I got to look at you, especially if you're in my community. I'm gonna have to look at you sideways because you know I done told you that. Okay, you know better than that. You know better than that because that's the first thing we have covered. So you shouldn't be, you know, trying to sidestep the ancestors and trying to do something. So you know better. We should not be avoiding healing and inner work and things like that because that's where you're going to get the magic from. Okay. And yes, you have it. This is why we just went through where hoodoo, how it was developed. We had to use this to save ourselves. This was medicine for our mind, body, and spirit. It's more than just magic, but these people is calling it. This is a whole heal your damn life, fix your whole damn life. It can do anything you want it to do. That's what this is. These other people, they playing around, they got magic. No, this is not what you got. This is more than what their magic. That's the only thing I can tell you. I don't even think it's a word for what hoodoo is. And it's more than just magic. Okay. I don't know if you are taking questions, but can we help family members with mental illness like schizophrenia? Those things are, there are so many variables in that because most people with schizophrenia too, they are not alignment with their spiritual calling. And so it would take a lot, and many of people with schizophrenia are supposed to be initiated into some sort of ATR. They're supposed to be aligned with their ancestors and aligned with those spirits. Many of them are going through a spiritual psychosis. And you see some people, I think Mama Zobi was like that. She wrote the book, The Sybil. She was going through a schizophrenic episode, and that episode did not go away until she went over there and got initiated into voodoo and got into a Mama Wati house. And then many of them that it happens, they have to be initiated into that. There's nothing much, like I said, it's so many variables in it because many of these people have spiritual gifts. And back in the day, uh, before medicine took the term that it has, you know, naming things a disease, we looked at the spiritual essence of things. So looking at the spiritual essence of things, because it's impacting the person's mind and they're able to see into other dimensions and realities. Um, they would need to be aligned. That gift needs to be aligned, and a practice need to be developed in order to control the disease. Now, you have some people saying, "Hey, I'm scared to be off my medicine and I have this disease." This is when I tell people, go ahead and take your medicine, but go ahead and get acclimated and get aligned with your ancestors and see how to improve your life. Because even with people that take the medicine, they can still have these episodes. Some of them. This why I say, and what I've read and what I've studied is many people that have that, they are supposed to be a priest or a priestess, and they need to be aligned with their ancestors and these specific spirits in order to stop having these crazy episodes and get more control over it. That's how that would have been handled back in the day, because how our ancestors understood what was going on there. That's my take on that. Okay, not sure, but she's preaching right now, and I love her here for it. I don't know. Okay. And so that's my feedback on schizophrenia and what I've heard, especially with people. That's why I tell you too, many people that have been, especially older generation. I'm not talking about these new IFA generation people. I'm talking about old IFA, old heads in the IFA, and old heads in the voodoo. Most of them was dragged over in there because they were having a schizophrenic episode. They didn't want to be over there. I'm telling you, most of these people that are priests and priestess in these ATRs, their ancestor drugged them over there by them having schizophrenia type of episodes. They were getting sick in their body, and their ancestors told them, "You're gonna get over there and do that, or you're gonna stay sick." You're gonna stay sick until you get over there because that's in our bloodline. That's where we want you. And they have drugged them over there to do that. It was not in they chosen. I even have one of my step grandmother was telling me about how she was a root worker. What would you call it? A midwife. She said everybody in her family was a midwife. Her mother was a midwife. Her aunts were midwives. Her mama's mama was a everybody was a midwife. So this was passed down. And so when she got older, she decided she didn't want to do it. And people was telling her to do it. Her ancestors was telling her to do it. Her mama had came to her in a dream and told her, she said she told them she wasn't gonna do it. Well, she fell sick. She fell sick. They made her sick. And all the things that her mom and all them learned about root working and midwifery, she had to use that to heal herself. And when she healed herself, she had to go back to she had to do midwife like they wanted her to do. Or they was gonna make her sick again. You got ancestors like that, they want you a certain kind of way. You got some ancestors that's strict. Once they get that priesthood is in the bloodline, or that midwife or healer in their bloodline, you got no choice but to take that up because that's in your bloodline. Okay, you got some ancestors like that. Now you need to talk. I don't know. You talking to these new priests that saying, "Oh, I wanted to be over here, and I wanted to do this." A lot of them getting over there for the wrong thing, and a lot of their practice is stagnated because they're getting over there for the mystery and the power and the big pie in the sky, and I'm gonna be able to do all this kind of magic. And they get over there and they get initiated, and they still ain't talked to no spirit. They still got to do a lot of ebos and all this kind of stuff because they have not perfected the ritual and they have not totally integrated the practice in their life. It's a misconception. Okay, it's a misconception. And then you got people that's over there because ain't no way. I'm sorry, y'all. I don't want to be messing doing that type of stuff. Okay, cutting up chickens and pigeons and going to go find snails and you know, bugs and snake. This is the stuff they got to do now. Eating certain parts of the food uh because I got the, you know, this is what they have to do on top of having a job. They got to get these rituals done, and some of them have several altars in their house, and each altar has to have a specific unique thing, and some of these things you can only get them in specific places. Who wants that? Who's volunteering for that? It's an expensive to be over there. It really is highly expensive, and it's time consuming. It takes a big devotion and commitment. And that's what these people don't realize. That's where it go crazy over there, because a lot of people don't, you know, you're not supposed to be over there. And most of the old ones, and I wish I would hear more because it was a lot of them. I was very lucky to be in an era where I had experience. I had been in contact with the ones had been in there for a while, and they were talking about it. But a lot of them, especially the older ones, they're over there because their ancestors dragged them over there. They didn't choose that for themselves. Some of them didn't want to be over there. But their ancestors made them get over there because that's where their ancestors want them to be. Okay? Nobody, you know, anybody they right mind, that's what they be saying. I'm a priest, I'm a priestess. Girl, I don't care what you call yourself. That your ancestors told you to get over there. You can call yourself a priestess and all that stuff. And most of the people that their ancestors, you know, drug them over there, they got power. You hear me? They are very humble. They are powerful. They are adept at what they do because them ancestors is leading them through it. Their ancestors is showing them how to work with them spirits because them spirits are ancestral. And they don't brag about it. And they don't even want to be doing it. Okay? But this is what their ancestors got them doing. Okay? So you looking for, you know, dodge the hijacking. You have to see it for yourself when you start seeing all this stuff that you got to carry home and all these altars you got to take care of and all this money you got to spend to service these spirits to fix your life. It ain't about magic because you're gonna be serving them spirits to fix your life. You will be put going there at the right time in the hour, doing your work, sitting there at that altar, reading and studying. That's what's gonna be going on at that altar. Ain't gonna be no magic going on. It's gonna be a lot of servicing going on. Yeah. Matter of fact, you get some of them in them religions. They don't want you practicing no magic. That's forbidding. They got rituals for you to do with certain spirits, but that's not called what per se magic. Them their own remedies and stuff. It's a lot of misconception going on over there. I mean, this going on. Okay, so dodge the hijacking. They got a system and a discipline over there as well that you got to follow. And if you ain't following it, it ain't nothing gonna move or shake for you. You got to be servicing those spirits. So we do the same thing, kind of in hoodoo, but we, you know, we don't do a lot of shedding blood and things like that. I'm not saying at some point you won't that won't come up in your practice because it might. You might have a time where you might have to work with a sacrifice of a chicken or something. I'm not gonna say it ain't gonna come up, but it's not as prominent in hoodoo as it is in these other ATRs. I hope that made sense. Okay. In hoodoo, we take a different approach. I like it because it's such a broader thing. When we go into our magic, it's such a broad thing because it's more ancestral. Okay. The best way to work with any spirit is through the act of ritual. We cover a variety of occultists, such as Agrippa. So we cover Cornelius Agrippa because he kind of gets you familiar with elemental magic. We cover arbitral magic. We cover the Goetia. Now we covered the Goetia because you might find yourself at some point want to do conjure or get some justice some kind of way. Okay. So when you have perfected root work and you have, really got your ritual together, Goetia should not be approached for the light and heart. Okay, I'm telling you, when you go against these, because these are the same spirits that Solomon, worked with many of them. And so some of these spirits can be intimidating to behold. The energy is so overwhelming. Okay, it can be intimidating. So I don't advise anyone to work with the Goetia spirits until you really have the ancestral rituals and things together. You have worked with angels, you have worked with saints for a while, and now you can, you ready to conjure and work with these Goetic spirits. Because some of them can be intimidating, and to behold and look at some of them, you will be prostrated. Your mouth will be open because they don't look like you. Some of you look at them and they look scary. Some of them, but the way they look is not evil. It's some of it is just a representation of the power that they hold. Okay. That's just like some of the masks that our ancestors would wear when they go into the spiritual realm. They were trying to look like these spirits, so these spirits can see the power that they hold in the spiritual realm. That's why our ancestors would wear all these different masks and stuff when they do these rituals, because these how these spirits look in the spiritual realm. So when they go in the spiritual realm with these masks, they're showing a representation of the power they hold within their magic. Does that make sense? I hope that made sense to you. Okay. So even though some of the magic, the masks that we like, oh, these magic masks look very peculiar. That just look very, kind of scary. They're not meant to look scary. They're meant to represent power. Okay, and that's what you'll see too in a lot of hoodoo practitioners. A lot of the hoodoo practitioners, they have a very peculiar look about them. They might, have, especially if they have any type of deformity. uh the deformity is a representation of their power. Yeah, you know, you'll go back and look at like Caroline Dye, some of the older ones, some of these hoodoo practitioners, they would what we would call in our modern world as a beautiful aesthetic people. No, some of them were very peculiar looking people, and some of them had deformities, and it was with these deformities is where their power was at. And our ancestors firmly believed that, because when we was growing up, if you made fun of somebody that looked a certain kind of way, you got hit in your face, you got hit in your mouth. You don't want to be, and you weren't gonna be talking about nobody because you get hit in your mouth quick. Okay. Little did I know that they were saving us two ways. That person could have had some type of spiritual protection over them. Because my mama and them, they thoroughly believed, look, you're gonna be like them people. Yeah, a deformity like a lazy eye. Yeah, them people, they have enormous spiritual power. The people that look, they're not beautiful. They wouldn't be considered as beautiful. These be the most powerful people. The people with the deformities and things like that. Okay, that's why my mama and them, they was hitting up. You better not be talking about them people you got had in your mouth. You gonna be looking like them people, don't you? Gonna make that that was a big thing in our community. I don't know if you guys remember that. I'm Gen X, but honey, you didn't stir at people too long. You didn't make fun of their deformity. You got hit in your mouth real quick. They weren't having it. Okay, I didn't know why they were doing. I'm just like, damn, they so mean. No, they were saving you. They were saving our life. Just said no, they were saving our life. They were saving our life. We may not understood what they was hitting us in our mouth and tell us, don't be staring at people like that. Don't be making fun of people like that. We may not understood, but they understood. Okay. And this is mentioned in one of our resources. It mentions this. Okay. You think it's gonna be the most beautiful person with the best aesthetics, because that's what's happening here. We getting people attracted to aesthetics and all this, the beautiful face. No, no. Back in the day, your mama used to drive. drag you off to somebody who was blind, that didn't have no eye sockets in their mouth, didn't have no teeth in their mouth, but when they opened their mouth and when they said something, they had spiritual power. And you dare not say nothing bad about that person. You was being drugged off to somebody looking like that, and they had power. Okay, they ain't gonna be a beautiful. They ain't gonna have it. Some of them, the most people, they ain't got the aesthetics. They just plain seemingly people, or they have a deformity. The deformity is a representation of their power, and you'll hear a lot of ancestors. They talk about that. Okay, so don't fall for the hijacking just because they beautiful and they skin tea and all because you're getting a lot of I can't. I don't know if they're influencers or are you a spiritual worker because now you caught up in these looks. The evil people are beautiful too. They got to be beautiful to draw you to them. Okay? So, keep that in mind. Is that, them be the ones that got the power. I seen one girl on here, and I've seen a few of them out here. There's a girl, especially on TikTok, she's an unseemly looking person. She, her glasses are so thick. She's an unseemly person, but when she starts to talk, you can tell she has this ancestral wisdom that comes out of her mouth, and it's just embedded in her personality, her authenticity. That's just her. It's something that the spirits put in her. Okay, you'll see that. It ain't gonna be the don't dodge the hijacking, you guys. Listen to what people are saying. Okay, and just because they look a certain way, uh don't let be fooled, because those spirits right there, them people with those deformities have the biggest spiritual protection. I got a daughter that's autistic. Although she is autistic, she understands spiritual concepts. Okay, she can't count money. uh a lot of things that she can't do. But when we sit down and talk about this, she's very knowledgeable, and it blows me away. It blows me away. Okay. It blows me away with the spiritual tenacity and things that she has in her that I didn't teach her. I didn't specifically teach her. She came in the world with this. Okay. So, dodge the hijacking, you guys. Dodge that too. Okay. We review Western occult knowledge because of it gives us an understanding of ritual and its framework. So that's why we're looking at Solomonic magic. That's why we're looking at Western occultism, the 6 7 books of Moses, because it gave hoodoo the framework for ritual, for magic. Okay. And then we had limited resources on educating us about magic. A lot of the stuff that we learned that was already in us, it was ancestral memory. Okay. Many of these occultists learned from the ancient civilization, particularly Egypt. However, I recommend that our community focus on the ritual aspect of this book. Please focus on the ritual aspect of this book. Please, okay? Stick to what you know, because they're going to be mentioning other things in here. And I don't want you to get drawn into that. Okay? When it comes to the systems, I would encourage you to dodge the hijacking by focusing on the systems that relate to the practices of our ancestors, such as shamanism and echinacea magic. When it comes to the Western occult system, we need to be careful because in this book it covers Satanism. Yeah, thoroughly. Covers that thoroughly in there. Okay? Avoid, I don't want you, that's not what we're looking at this book for. It covers Wicca. I see nothing wrong with Wicca. Wicca is just a form of root work. I see nothing really wrong with that because they do work with herbs and personal power. It covers Druidism. There's some aspects about Druidism. That's not in Hoodoo, but they might have some things in there that look a lot like Hoodoo. Okay, might be something you can learn from it. That cover the Golden Dawn. We're not interested in that. They have watered that down. Okay. That cover the Lima, okay, systems. So you're gonna see a variety of systems being listed in this book. I'm happy that the author covered them, but I don't want you to be pulled in by it. That is not why we're looking at this book. We're looking at this book because of the ritual. Okay. Not to not for those systems. Although you can look at those systems, but we don't have those in Hoodoo. Okay. We will also be going over Abramelin work next week. And in order for me to go over that work, you'll have to get two books. And that's going to be the one on the Abramelin Sacred Magic and the Holy Guardian Angel book. So you'll get two books. And these books are old. I think these books are over 100 years old, some of them. And so you got authors coming out revising some of these books. Okay, so you're going to get that next week. I've already been working on the presentation and the review of them. And then we'll come back and do a live stream and you can give more insight on it. Okay. Ritual is a kind of drama that takes you out of the limited awareness we mistake for our true self. While in ritual, we have the opportunity to catch a glimpse of our higher self and realities. The entertainment industry is a degenerate form of magical ritual. Okay, that's what they're doing. They that's their way. So dodge that because they didn't made it look a certain kind of way because they got all the theatrics and stuff, and it's not that way. Okay. This sort of drama was performed by shamans and priests to achieve magical results. Rituals are living things. So the ritual is alive because it's energy moving, it's energy that you're calling into the ritual. You're making magic come to life. Okay? That's what we're doing. They begin as a seed of desire and grow into a shape that is determined by the circumstances surrounding them. Eventually, they reach a mature form that manifests into our reality. Okay? That's how that's happening. We're getting it to move. That's energy that's moving. Okay? It is alive, and we should treat it that way. Ritual must be worked over and over again to be effective. Sometimes we don't need to do that thing just that one time. That's why we got 7-day candles because we have to work it for several of days many times. Okay, and that's where people I think get hung up because they think they have to have a spell meet immediate results. No, it takes time for things to unfold. They may unfold in 2 weeks. They may unfold in a month. They may unfold in 2 months. It just don't work, it just you have to wait. Don't mean it ain't working. We have to have the patience to sit back and watch it unfold. It's working. Now, is it a time where if you feel like it's not working, you can do it again? My thing, it depends on the work that you're doing. Okay. Now, if you know this is going to be something that's going to take time to unfold, then it may take 3 to 6 months. But if this something simple, such as money or a house, you should see that unfold within 2 to 3 weeks, depending on what you have going and if there's any blocks in the way. But that's why we're again doing it over and over. This ain't about immediate. If you think magic is about that, you might as well turn around and walk away. Cause it ain't that. This ain't nothing you pour it in the microwave and do. You work this and you wait patiently for the results, knowing it's gonna happen. You have done the ritual. You did it correctly. All you doing is waiting for it to unfold. You again. It's like it's like the universe recalculating, putting in your intentions for things to unfold because that's basically what you're doing. Okay. This is why in Hoodoo we do things 3, 7, and 13 times. We are watering the seeds of the magic we planted. Even though most magical texts imply immediate results, when ritual is devised to attain a specific desire and then repeated, it will subtly alter with each repetition. That's what we're doing. The universe is recalculating. We know it is being heard, but now we got to recalculate our intentions for it to unfold in our reality. After all, we do call this a matrix. It's nothing but a big computer. And so we're putting in this data, we're putting in this data into this reality to put in our outcome. Does that make sense? I explain it that way because I break it down and I explain it to you a different kind of way to help you understand. That's what's happening here. Okay? We're working in conjunction with the universe and these natural energies around us to include our intentions into this reality, in it to manifest in this reality. Okay? New elements will arise that seamlessly incorporate themselves into its body. This is a process of natural growth and must not be frustrated, must not frustrate the magic time, observation, and perseverance. Okay? Again, you're going to have observation and perseverance. No, it's going to it's going to happen. Okay? And this is where people get hung up at sometimes. Okay? You just got to know it's going to happen. You don't have control either how it happens. Some people try to control how it happens. You have no control over that. Once you have done the application, you have put the intentions in, you know what you want. You have no control on how it happens. I'm telling myself that too, because sometimes I be trying to control how it happens, and it never happens the way I think it's gonna happen. It never happen. It's never gonna happen the way you think it's gonna happen to trip you out. Sometimes it unfolds better than what you could plan. Okay. Sometimes it'll happen better than you can plan. Okay. And that goes to, had somebody doing some baneful work on a woman with salt and pepper. She just wanted the lady to go away. Well, she got more than what she bargained for, because the woman went away permanently. She's no longer in the living with us in the living. And she said, "That's not what I wanted. I didn't want her to be unalive." Well, you wanted her to go away. Okay. Sometimes you have no control over the outcome. And she just wanted the woman to go away. The woman wouldn't stop messing with her. She kept doing the work. And one day the woman never came back again. She went away forever. And so, that's why I say if you're picking up this work, make sure you're thinking about if this is what you really want to do. Okay. Especially when it comes to left hand work. Make sure you set with it. Make sure it's not a other option you can take, because once you get that work started, you have no control over the outcome. And some people, they are um they are shocked by the outcome, because that's not how they wanted it to turn out. But that's what, once you do that work, you have no control over it. The spirits are going to take again, the energy is going to take uh the least path of resistance. I'm going to take the path of least resistance. That's what the spirit is going to do. Okay. Just keep going until you get the results. This one reason we layer our magic and hoodoo. It may include spiritual bath, fasting, and psalms. Okay. And that's where we're getting a lot from the Abermaline magic. We got a lot of that. I think you can see that in Agrippa too. Cornelius and Agrippa. You're seeing that too, where it's some fasting that's going on there, pushing back plate. And I can't tell you how clear it is when you do your fasting. And a lot of people miss this fasting. Uh, it'll move your work so quick. It'll clear you up too. It'll clear up your spiritual communication. Because while you fasting, It for me, it tends to heighten my spiritual communication with my ancestors, with the spirit I'm working with, and with my work. Okay. So, you probably want to consider that too. A lot of people skip this part, but that part too builds spiritual discipline. And spirits love to see that, especially when you have sacrificed, when you're sacrificing eating in order to communicate with them or do some spirit work. They look at that. They look at that discipline because it takes discipline. Okay. When your rituals are successful, they should be recorded or documented. Many people want to do rituals they see done by others on social media or some other place, but those rituals are not your art. It is not guided by your ancestors. It lacks your personal power, thought, and self discovery. I have said this in many of our lectures and discussions. I sure have. Your magic that comes from you, your mind, your words, and thoughts have a frequency, a particular sort of signature that identify your authenticity. And authenticity is the key to unlocking your magic in a world where people are trying to be like each other. That's the hang up. Stop trying to be like Sally Sue. Okay? Stop trying to be jealous of her. Okay? Be like you. You got your own unique way of doing things. It's not supposed to be like nobody else. Excuse me. Okay? Authenticity is lacking here. And most people that's authentic and got their own way of doing things, they are scrutinized because they want this is a world full of conformity and manipulation, deception, and lies and envy because everybody want to be like each other. They want that hairstyle. They want that same bag they got. They want them same shoes. They want that's that you gonna have to get out of that and shift your thinking and walk into your authenticity when it comes to this magic. Okay, no magic is greater than yours. Okay, no magic is better than nobody else's magic. Everybody magic works according to their authenticity and their sincerity. Okay, when you see somebody that's being authentic, they have mastered, again, they're tapping into their own magic. That's their magic. Okay, you mad because they got their own magic. Go find yours. Go find yourself. That's mostly when people get jealous of other people. Really think about why you jealous of them because they have their authenticity. They're not shamed to stand in their authenticity. They're being who they are designed to be. Okay, they are standing uh they're standing in their truth, in their true self. And a lot of people don't like that. That's why you see a lot of jealous. They jealous of something they can't take from you. Okay? Took me a long time to find that. You'll see them and they start copying you, wearing their hair like you, doing what they doing or whatever. They're trying to steal, it's a trip because you can't steal anyone's authenticity. And that's what they're jealous of. Okay? You have to find your own way, your own unique energy signature. I mean, it's not going to be by following nobody else or doing what somebody's doing. You are different. You are a different star. You were born on a specific day at a specific time. You have your own fingerprints. So everything about you is unique. Everyone has their own authenticity and unique self. A lot of them don't know it because they love following people and they love conformity and doing what other people do. They want to wear the same shoes so and so got. They want that same dress that so and so got. Okay, it's conformity. And a lot of this you have to be willing to be authentic. Okay? Make the ritual your own. We have dozens of spiritual resources in our community. You will see a variety of spells in books. However, those spells are frameworks. That's what they are. Any framework, even if somebody's showing you something, I want you to look at it like this. Please look at it like this, if you would, please. They're giving you a good framework so you can create your own magic. You may not do everything that they're doing, but that is a good idea for when you're doing certain kind of work, or to give you a good framework on how to create your own work. That's what they're doing there. We're not there to follow it. You're not there to follow it by a T. They're just giving you a really good framework on how to do it. That's just like with a mojo bag. I'm not gonna put the same thing in my mojo bag for protection that you put in yours. I might put something else more in mine, something less in mine. But it doesn't mean that uh, any magic is better than the other. But we got the same framework for the mojo bag. We putting that stuff in that mojo bag, ain't we? Okay. That mojo bag is protection, right? It might mojo bag might even be the same color, but it may not have the same things in the mojo bag. Hope that makes sense. Okay. Your rituals are potent when you plan and construct them yourself. This is why I highly discourage you from doing spells on social media. The magic in you, the magic is not being shown. Okay. The magic is in you. If that person is not is not there to guide you through the work they are showing you, then you it should not be done. It's different if somebody guiding you through a workings, because you have some practitioners that take on cases and they guide their client through the work. That's different. Okay. And I've had to do that. I've had people to call me. They don't know what's going on with them. And so I'll give them a prescription for a spiritual bath and guide them through the work. That's totally different. And you'll have that if you know, depending on how long you've been in your practice, you would do that. You'll have people calling you and needing some, or you'll do some work for somebody, and you're doing your work, but you're also giving them work, guiding them through work to do. And it's going to work. Why? Because they're working with you, and you've talked to your spirits, and you've done this work with your spirit, so you know it's going to work. If that's not being done, then con- reconsider. Okay. If you haven't received guidance from your ancestors or the spirit guides or divination, that it's okay to do the work. Okay? Go ahead and do the work. Only do that work if you're getting guidance from your spirit guides or your ancestors. Just don't go out there without guidance. That's why you got your ancestors there. That's why you got your guardian angels there. That's why you got relationship with these saints, with these angels, so you can get divine guidance uh, on if you need to do the work. Okay. There is definitely structure and discipline in any magical system. There's just no way around it. I don't know a magical system, even in chaos magic, there is discipline and structure in any magical system. There's no way to get around it. Nobody here is just picking up spells, doing them on the whim and copying people. We're just not doing it. Okay. Practicing rituals maintain personal conditioning, which provide effective results. Sometimes rehearsing the ritual will help improve your results. Okay. You just want to get in there and play and rehearse and things like that. It improve your results. You're just solidifying your spiritual power when you rehearse it. And the more you do your rituals, you tap into more and more your magic and your spiritual practice. I mean, your spiritual magic in your own power. Okay. The more you're doing the ritual, you're further convincing yourself in your subconscious that you got this magic. It's going to get more and more solidified. The ashe gets stronger and stronger. I hope that makes sense. It will become second nature. Okay. To become second nature to you. Now, there are two rituals that is recommended too. You'll see that's recommended in Western occultism. One of them is the lesser banishing ritual. A lot of people do that for invocation and banishment. Now I learned that that's one of the first things I learned when I started working with angels is work doing the lesser banishing ritual. And of course we covered that in our community. It's just like casting a circle uh with the four archangels watching over your rituals while you are performing magic. It's just like casting a circle. Yep, I'm still here. Still here. I'll be closing it down in a minute. So, and then another one I started when I didn't want to do the lesser banisher ritual. I did the middle pillar exercise, and what it does is it attunes your chakras. Okay, it gets you an alignment, attunes your chakras, and raise your frequency to do the magic. So you probably want to look at those if that's something that you're interested in. We definitely covered that in our community. So you can look at that in your resources. You'll see that in Kabbalah. You'll also see that in Solomonic magic. You'll see it in angel magic as well. So you can take a look. Working magic with angels. You can see both of those rituals in there. So if you're not sure about ritual or you want to build your ashe up before you start doing any magic, those rituals right there I recommend. The lesser banishing ritual and the middle pillar exercise. That's going to help raise up your ashe and build your ashe for your magic. Okay. It is important to study the books of Moses and Solomon in Hoodoo. They consist of rituals, prayers, invocations, bindings, and other techniques for working magic, which contain symbols, names, and signatures of spiritual beings that serve the practitioner. Traditionally, the spirits swear obedience and even sign their own name on symbols that help conjure them. So when you have, and this might happen if you're working with a mirror, depends on what you got going on. Those again, you get closer and closer to working with these spirits. You really gonna have that happen with the goetic spirits, and some angels do that too. And what I've noticed, usually if an angel writes something, I started to notice this. You'll see this outline of the word. For me, it turns out it looks like a yellow. Yeah, it's written in yellow, but it's almost like a see in the dark, like a glow in the dark thing. You'll know it when you see it because they actually don't work. It'd be like a astral writing that you can barely see is faint, and they're usually highlighted in the color, and you can write down that symbol. Okay, but this is after you have built up some ashe and you are perfected, working with spirit and working with angels. You'll probably come to this point in your practice where you will come in contact with them um, more intimately. Put it that way. In many old occult books posted in our community, practitioners purify and sanctify the body with a bath, dress in special attire to perform ritual work. Many times, if I feel like it is a special ritual or I'm trying to amplify my results, I will wear all white and I will wear a white head wrap. So if I know I'm going there and I'm going to the house and I'm trying to get some business done, I need some stuff to move. I'm gonna uh, dress in all magical ritual attire in all white because I need to call these spirits. Okay, I need to call these ancestors. I need to call these spirits here. And white attract good spirits. That's why we wear white in hoodoo. Okay. This helped me to tap into the place of magic. This conditions the mind to go into that reality. Your imagination is key here. You are truly channeling and embodying God-like energy. Okay, that's what we're doing when we go there. We're not looking at that Bible in the way we're asking God for these things. We are becoming the God. We're doing what God do. And we need to go to our altar with that mindset. And that altar is the framework, that is our world and foundation where we create our magic. That's where we make everything come to life. Hope that made sense. Okay. You are God. You are the God in this creation. Like in hoodoo, we don't follow the Christian religion. We become the God in the Bible that Christians claim to obey. We mimic everything the God in the Bible is doing when he creates. We are pretending to be this God in the Bible over our microcosm creation as above, so below. That's what we're looking at. Okay? You say, didn't you say in your Bible that ye are gods? Yes, we are. Okay, and we're using it to our advantage right now. Okay, you were made in the image of God, therefore you possess that God power. And some people scared of it. Okay, and then they run back to church because they scared of it. Okay, they scared of that power. They want to put it back in the church hand so church can exploit them and use them. Okay, hoodoo is a broad category of Western magic. You got Aborigine magic in there as well, Solomonic, animism, and spiritualism. So it's a broad, it has broad components in there. That's one thing why I like about it. I love that about it because it can just grow and grow and grow and get bigger and bigger and bigger. The deeper and the more study you go, the more you study and the deeper you go, your hoodoo practice can grow. Okay, it's going to grow. Is it wasn't meant to be still. I know what these people telling you that a lot of these people they don't want to let that Christian it hid in Christianity. It's not Christian. You don't have to be Christian to practice hoodoo. And people many people think that you need the Bible. Maybe for their lineage, they family use the Bible all the time in hoodoo, but it's not a necessity. Okay, you can be any religion and use hoodoo. You even have Muslims that practice hoodoo. Okay, you can be any religion. It doesn't matter. This is not a religion. And the only reason why we're using the Bible because it's a grimoire. We're doing what God is doing. He giving us the blueprint on how to become a better God in our creation. That's all we're looking at there. We're looking at, how God tapped in his power and how, the things that God can do, we can do too. That's what we're looking at. Okay. Regular practice of ritual opens a magical perspective when you open your mind. The mind expands on all levels. Your perception shifts and changes. This impacts your reality. Everything is always moving. Energy is never still. It's changing and moving in other directions. It is not still. Okay. Magic opens up the door of self awareness. You stop focusing on the past and stay present in the now where your power is to shape your tomorrow. Many people give up on magic because either they fail to be disciplined or the magic is so potent they can't control the events that lead to the desired outcome. That's usually what happens. Either people get so scared of it, it works so well, and it scares the hell out of them, so they run back over there. You get that too. And then you got some people they just lack the discipline. They can't do it because they lack the discipline. Okay? They just don't want to put it to work. That's why they're not getting ahead. And usually these are the people that I see that's coming to me. They have been following this spell work and then they're coming to me but trying to see what's going on. And then I start prying to help them with the practice. And this what's going on. And then when I'm telling them what's going on and this is what they need to do, some of them are shocked and kind of disappointed that they have to add this too. Because after all, they thought they was taking a shortcut. There's no shortcuts. Okay. Practitioners who regularly practice rituals for health, personal power, business, or love will certainly achieve these goals to a greater or lesser extent, depending how strong uh, the desired the desire and the energy invested. Magic is affected by consciousness and belief. It is the product of the mind. If your mind ain't right, it's all clouded. If you got a lot of stuff going on, that's going to impact your magic. That is going to impact your magic. This is what's being left out here. This ain't, they got think it's a big pie in the sky type of thing, and that's just not how that works. Okay? Spirit magic is an integral part of hoodoo. Bible, our Bible frequently mentions spirit, okay, in there. Spirits are used as mobile and semi-intelligent agents. Spirits tend to take instructions literally, so it's important to be clear in your communication, especially because what's happening to is there, especially when you're doing root work and you're doing magic on your own. It's important for you to understand that these elemental, because you're going to be using elemental spirits. If you're not, petitioning that magic, say with an angel or a saint, then you're working with those elementals. And so with elementals, they break this down. I think Cornelius Agrippa, he breaks that down in his book. They like single task. So make sure that you're being specific with your results. You yield better results with them when you keep them on a single task. Okay, and writing down your petition. And if you're going to be working with, roots and herbs and things like that, making sure you're slowing down to connect with those herbs and things like that, that you are providing offerings to them, that you are speaking over them and praying over them before you start your work. Because if you're not going to be working with a particular spirit, this is where I have to, even though you're going to do this anyway, when you do magic, you certainly need to slow down if you're just going to be using elemental spirits in your magic. Okay. That's like when you work with Hajan the Conqueror, you're going to have to work with that root and slow down and talk to that root and tell that root what you want it to do. These are spirits, and we work with spirits, be it elemental, a person, a god, or an angel. That's what we do here. Okay. For hoodoo practitioners, make sure I ain't passing. Okay. For hoodoo practitioners, this metaphor highlights why ritual forms the backbone of traditional spiritual work. The steps involved in preparing and working and cleansing the space, focusing intentions, calling on spirit, and completing the work create the container that holds the energy of the ritual. Through this structure, the practitioner draws spiritual power into the physical world and directs it towards the desired goal. That's why we're doing the rituals. That's why it's important. And that's why we're going over ritual magic again. Okay? The teachings found in the ritual magic can help the hoodoo practitioners deepen their understanding of why ritual practice matters. Many people approach magic by copying spells or rituals from books without developing a mental discipline that gives those actions meaning. It's going to have meaning. This book reminds practitioners that ritual is not simply about following instructions. It's about training the mind to enter a heightened state of awareness where intentions becomes powerful and focused. For those practicing hoodoo, the perspective can strengthen the spiritual foundation of the work. Ritual becomes more than a tradition, it becomes a method for aligning the mind, the spirit, and intentions. Through structured ritual practice, practitioners learn to concentrate their will, connect with spiritual forces, and draw from the deeper well of magical potential. Okay? Does anyone have any questions about ritual? Now is the time, since I'm talking about it right now. And of course, if you're in our community, if you're shy here, you can ask that question in our community. If you have anything to add here, please add it. But any questions do you, and rituals can be just as simple. It doesn't have to be elaborate. It has to be your a consistent act of trying to connect with spirit, a consistent action of healing yourself. Okay, rich could be a small act. It doesn't have to be elaborate. Any questions about rituals from a TikTok family and my YouTube family? Go ahead and ask it, Goddess. Get ready to let you go, guys. Go. I know I've been here for quite some time, and we will be coming back next week. Cause I thought I gave you that book. I just don't know why I didn't give it to you. God. We will be covering Abramelin magic because that's a very big factor in hoodoo. Okay, that is a hoodoo staple. It's one of our hoodoo staples that we work from. So we'll be going over that as well, especially for the ones that are in our ritual um, membership. This is gonna help you. Okay, Goddess. I was waiting for your question. Okay. I guess I'm gonna get ready to close out. No one is asking questions. You don't have any questions. Okay. No questions. I don't see any. Okay. So before we close out our live stream, I want to share something special with all of you. Okay. Okay. Papa Leg Brigade. Okay, so you working with Papa Legba. I'm gonna go back this again. You probably just came in this live stream. I always have to go back to the ancestors with that. Did the ancestors told you to do? Did they tell you to do that? And then are you being consistent with his offerings? If you're being consistent with his offerings, if you're consistent with going to doing the rituals or whatever, he should start pulling up in your dream. Or are you do you have a divination? Because if you're working with any spirit, you should be there should be you should know a form of divination to be able to communicate with them. What kind of divination you doing to get more clarity on what he's trying to tell you? I don't recommend that's the first thing that we're doing. We even going through that. I think we got a workshop here that's coming up. What is that, Friday? We got a divination workshop, a tarot workshop. So that's the first thing we get you started with, help you understand if you're going to be communicating with ancestors in order to prove your spiritual communication and your intuition. There needs to be a divination medium to help you communicate with these spirits. It's not going to do you no good to serve them and give offers to them if you don't have a divination to communicate with them. You're going to be guessing, you're going to be confused. And if you're consistent with your ritual and if the divination is not clear, you can petition them to start coming up in your dreams and they will start giving you more clarity. I worked with him for like a week and a half. And yeah, he pulled up on me in dreams. But who told you to work with him? Do you got an ancestor veneration? Okay, I don't know what's going on. I can't really advise you with that because I don't know what you got going on. Are you in our community? Because if you don't have answer, what's going to happen here when you start working with these spirits and you're not consistent with rituals with your ancestors, you don't have a relationship with your ancestors, you don't have a divination that's going on there. Uh, you're gonna kind of be going in a circle. You're not gonna know what's going on. Okay, so I don't know if you have a divination or what. I don't know what to say. Make of that. You have to do a I'll have to do a total reading on you to find out what's going on. And so I'm seeing some stuff going on. You're working with Papa Legba and I don't know what's going on there. I just don't. Okay, I don't know. I don't know if there's consistent because the last time I talked to you, uh, none of this was going on. There was not an ancestor altar. You didn't. You couldn't have an ancestor altar in the house. Uh, you know. So I think when I talked to you, this was going on, and so I'm wondering how did you get to this part. I kind of feel like there is some. We probably need to step back a little bit. I think you should step back a little bit with this. Okay, that's what I would say. Step back a little bit with this because I think we kind of going too fast with this. Because the last, I don't, I think we're going a little too fast. I would ask you to step back with that a little bit. And it's not lot of information I can give you without a reading because I don't want to tell you the wrong thing. But it sounds like to me you probably need to step back a little bit, especially from the last time I read you. I think you had a reading with me that there was no ancestral altar in there. There was no consistent. Uh, there was no consistent ritual with the ancestors, and I know that takes time. That takes a lot of time before we get to this point. Be working with elect Ba. A lot of healing work and all that stuff has to be done before we start jumping into those things. I don't recommend it, but I can't give you a lot of insight because I don't know, honey. I don't know. Okay, I have to do a reading and find out. Okay, we've officially have added a new tier to our spiritual roots hoodoo community. It is called Hoodoo Master. This tier is for those of you who already are doing the work and are ready to go deeper. So if you've been doing your work, you've gotten a ritual together, you're doing the healing, you've integrated some things, okay? Whether you're stepping into offering your own spiritual products or services and you're committed to mastering your practice on a higher level, this space was created with you in mind. And it comes with a variety of hands on resources. I will email you. No, 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 no. No, no, no. Don't email me. You need to book a reading. Please don't do that. Book a reading. You need to book a reading. Please don't email me. Okay? This is something that needs a reading. It doesn't need an email. Okay. Yeah, I did a lot have happened before then. I haven't altered, but I was not consistent at that time. Okay. So I will book a reading with me. I'm sorry about that, but book a reading with me and I'll see what's going on. But do you have a divination? Have you been doing any healing work? Have you been removing any blockages? Have you been working with any angels? Because that's important too before we start reaching out and doing other things and make sure that we have a good foundation, that we're in alignment, that we have balance. You've heard me repeat this over and over again. I don't want you guys to get it wrong. So you'll hear me repeat things over and over again. Don't try to take a shortcut. Don't try to do it fast. This ain't about who can do it fast and about taking a shortcut. So please don't take no shortcuts and don't try to do it fast. Okay? So that's why you'll hear me repeat it over and over again so you can't get it twisted. So you can't, so you can make sure that you're in alignment with it. So you cannot get it twisted. That's why you'll hear me repeat it over and over again. You probably say, Miss Penny repeat the same thing. I repeat it because people will go out. I repeat it because people will go out and do things, did you miss what I just said? So I would say it again so you can't miss it. So you can't get it twisted. And if any way you're getting it twisted, it's because you're choosing to do that. You're trying to take a shortcut, bypass, rush something, and do something. And that has no place here, because what happens, you're gonna get yourself messed up doing that. Stop trying. It's not no race. People try to do this, well, I can do this and I can do that, and we trying to be like everybody. Put that out your head. Don't worry about nobody else. Worry about you. Going slow, the slower you go, the better it's going to be. If you go fast, you're going to mess it up. So just because you're going fast doesn't mean you're going to learn more, you're going to gain more. No, it's really going to mess you up, because you're going to be missing stuff, messing stuff up. Don't be trying to go fast. This ain't about no content. That's even over there. I'm not trying to rush you to do anything. The most thing I'm trying to do is get you consistent with your rituals. I'm not rushing you to get to next level and next level, next level. No. What I'm doing is encourage you to get used to your rituals so you can integrate them and start accessing your magic. Okay? Because I know ritual is going to get you in contact with healing. Okay? It's going to get you in alignment. That's what you needs to do. Okay? That's what needs to be done first. Do not go off. 'Cause there's a lot of magic that's going to happen if you do it this way. You're going to have some profound results. You're not going to be confused. You're going to know the step. You're going to stay in alignment and know which step to make. But if you go out and trying to rush and compete with other people and trying to do what other people do, no, you're trying to find out about you. We don't care what other people doing. We only care about us. We're not looking at anyone else. We don't care about what anyone else has going on. We're only concerned with us. Matter of fact, we don't even want to look at their magic. We're gonna be talking to our ancestors. Some people don't matter to a hill of beans, okay? They're not gonna be teaching. You're gonna be learning from spirits. You're gonna be learning from no person. So you got to get somewhere and sit down and be quiet. Okay, and this ain't about going fast. The slower you go, the more advanced you're going to be, because you're going to comprehend more. But if you're going fast like it's a contest and you're trying to do this and do that, and be like, you're gonna it's not look, you're gonna be confused. Yes, healing work has taken place, but being consistent with angel. See, okay, I'm gonna recommend you step back. Recommend you step back. Don't go into that right now. Okay. I just wouldn't recommend it right now until I've been consistent with my ancestors. I have had you have had contact with your ancestors rolling up on you in your dreams. You have contact with these angels. You have worked with them successfully in doing things. That you have been healing some blocks. So I would say step back a moment, step back 2 or 3 steps, and look at things. That's what I would recommend. Okay. So we have our hoodoo master tier. And like I said, these are for the ones who are ready to level up, who are serious about their work. They're ready to be consistent with their rituals. They have the discipline. Okay. Okay. Inside this hoodoo master tier, we work together consistently. We do monthly setting of the lights, moon rituals to stay in line with our intentions. We do monthly shadow work meetings to continue the healing, because it's an ongoing thing. Healing work doesn't stop. We keep on. That this class is designed to keep you in alignment with your work. Okay. So we do the monthly shadow work meetings, continue the healing of the inner self, because we're constantly changing, we're constantly growing, we're constantly evolving, and our awareness is constantly growing. And shadow works help you stay aware. Okay. Quarterly entrepreneur meetings. If you're interested, this is also for people you're ready to sell your tinctures. I got people now, they're making tinctures and conjure oils. They're making their own tinctures and conjure oils and herbs and things like that. And they're probably helping family, and they never thought about uh, opening up their own practice. Well, we have a quarterly entrepreneur meeting to help you build your practice, to help you with your spiritual business, give you ideas on how to reach out to your community and help your community with your practice if that's something that you're interested in. This is a space for discipline, growth, and accountability. It's for those who understand that this path requires commitment and are ready to show up for themselves and their spiritual journey in a real way. Okay. So if this is you, you're ready for something serious, you want the full scope of everything. This is certainly the tier, and I'm hands-on very much in here, and you're going to learn a lot of skills and probably learn more things to add to your ritual. So you're going to learn some things, gain some growth, and be able to uh, again connect with a community that's serious about this practice. Okay. If you've been feeling called to deepen your practice or strengthen your focus and step into your work more fully, this may be your next step. Okay. So if that's something that you're interested in, the link is in our bio on TikTok and on YouTube. If you're interested into practicing real hoodoo, you're serious. You're not obsessed with the spells. You want to learn to practice. So when every time you uh pick up any type of work, you know it's going to work because you understand the practice. You're not doing it because you saw something or you just going out on a whim on things. You understand the practice and you want to get real results out of your practice. You want to practice real hoodoo. You tired of shucking and jiving and doing that spell and trying to figure things out. Or maybe you got your ritual and stuff together and you're ready to grow your practice. You're ready to start using it and to be of service to people. This is a great community for you. Okay. All right. So catch us next week. We will be talking about Abramelin, sacred magic, and the holy guardian angel. We'll go into that deeper, and that's going to give you some insight in your practice. And like I say, if you're interested in our hoodoo community, click the link in our bio. Love you guys. Take care.